Chapter 78. Yao Rong's body stiffened as though she was struck by lightning. A look of grief flashed across her beautiful face. It turned out that Yao Rong and Dr. Fan were husband and wife in their early years. Both of them were obsessed with the study of ancient medicine and even raised a lively and adorable daughter. At that time, the Fan couple were both studying medicine under the great country's hand. Both of them were talented, and Fanji was even more talented than Yao Rong. Both of them held important positions in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. However, due to an accident, their daughter was seriously injured. Her condition was even more serious than the boy in front of them. All the doctors in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, including the great country's hand, were helpless. At that time, Fanji heard that there might be a way to save his daughter. However, when he was about to send his daughter to the temple for treatment, everyone in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, including the great country's hand, objected. They believed that if they sent his daughter to the temple, it would be equivalent to admitting that magical treatment was better than ancient medicine. Despite Fanji's pleas, the Medicine Emperor Pavilion refused to send his daughter to the temple. They even imprisoned Fanji. In the end, when Fanji was released, his daughter had already died in Yao Rong's arms. It was also because of that incident that Fanji completely gave up on the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. He announced that he would leave the Medicine Emperor Pavilion and study magic. He would use the method of combining ancient medicine and magic to treat illnesses. However, he was too old when he started learning magic. In terms of understanding magic, he was far behind. Furthermore, because he used to be a doctor, it led to his awkward situation in the Jade Capital. After knowing what happened, Yun Sheng only had one thought in her mind. Foolish. This was really foolish and laughable. At that moment, Yun Sheng only felt that the doctors in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion were too pedantic. The battle between ancient medicine and magical treatment was just like the battle between Chinese medicine and Western medicine in the early years. In the Yin clan's environment, Yun Sheng had always thought that there was no real difference between Chinese and Western medicine. On the contrary, taking the strong points to make up for the weak points and combining the two was the true way to save a person. Yao Rong, do you still want this child's parents to experience the pain that you and I went through back then? Fanji questioned as he snatched the boy away. The doctors from the Medicine Emperor Pavilion wanted to step up and make things difficult for Fanji, but they were stopped by Yao Rong. Yao Rong's face was pale as she spoke. Fanji, do you know what the consequences will be if you take this child away and fail to save him? In Zhou State, if a doctor's actions caused the death of a patient, they would be punished. Before this incident, Fanji had used a combination of magic and ancient medical skills to treat some patients. However, there were still two major mistakes in the process, causing one of the patients to be disabled and the other to be retarded. Because of this, Fanji was demoted by 2 ranks, from Imperial Physician to Dr. Ling. This time, the little boy was so heavily injured that if Fanji made another mistake and killed him, what awaited him would not only be a demotion, but also his qualification as a doctor would be revoked and he would be thrown into prison. Yao Rong's reminder did not make Fanji back off. He only wanted to save the severely injured boy. The boy did not seem to be from Jade Capital. No one stopped Fanji when he left with the boy. When she saw Fanji leave, Yun Sheng immediately followed. Yao Rong wanted to stop them, but it was too late. Cheng Sihai saw Fanji and Yun Sheng leaving one after the other and revealed a sinister smile. He quietly called his nephew Cheng Qing. Go and report to the government immediately. Say that a doctor has killed a patient in the small rejuvenation clinic in the west of the city. Fanji carried the boy and quickly ran back to the clinic. In just a little more than 15 minutes, the heavily injured boy's face had turned purple like an eggplant. His nostrils flared, and it became difficult for him to move. Dr. Fan. Yun Sheng followed closely behind Fanji with her short legs. It's you, Yun Sheng. Why did you come back? That's good too. Follow me back to the clinic, pack your luggage, and leave with your father. I can teach you the method of your father's cloud dream eye sleep. You can find a water element magician in the city to help you carry it out. Fanji had seen Yun Sheng's performance in the Medicine Man examination today. He was sure that Yun Sheng would be a promising talent in the future. It was too much of a waste for such a child to follow him in the small rejuvenation clinic. Since Yao Rong had proposed to take her in as a disciple, she would definitely be able to make a name for herself in the world of ancient medicine. No, Dr. Fan. I'm not going back to pack my luggage. I'm also not leaving the small rejuvenation clinic. I want to be like you, fusing magic and ancient medicine to become a magic doctor. Yunsheng raised her small face. Her face rippled with calmness and intelligence that did not match her age. Child, what nonsense are you talking about? My path isn't for everyone. Moreover, you've seen my current situation. If I don't have a way to cure this boy, I may be locked up in prison tomorrow. I can't even protect myself, so I can't implicate you. You'd better leave quickly. Fanji was shocked. He was moved, but he was even more reluctant to take Yunsheng in. At first, he took Yunsheng in because he coveted the child's rent. After getting along with her for a while, he found that Yunsheng was a rare good child. Every time he saw her, Fanji would think of his daughter who died young. He must not be a burden to this child. She had her own path to walk. Seeing that Yunsheng had followed him all the way to the clinic, Fanji simply closed the door of the clinic and locked Yunsheng outside. He was about to enter the courtyard with the boy in his arms to carry out treatment when Yunsheng's voice came from outside the door. Dr. Fan, are you going to carry out the treatment on the boy's head? That treatment can't be completed by you alone. Fanji had planned to not let Yunsheng participate in the treatment no matter what, but after hearing this sentence, his whole body stiffened. How did she know what he was planning to do? Dr. Fan, let me in. I'm the only one who can help you with this treatment. It can't be delayed any longer. If the blood clot in the boy's brain is not cleaned up in time, even if you save his life, he may be paralyzed in the lower half of his body or suffer from dementia for the rest of his life. Yunsheng was still not discouraged. She stood outside the door and spoke again. The door opened with a creak. Fanji looked as if he had seen a ghost. He looked at Yunsheng. After a long while, he choked out a sentence. How do you know the aftereffects of a failed operation? In short, I just know. Hurry up. If you delay any longer, he will really die. Yunsheng pushed Fanji into the room. She did not care about how many doubts he had in his heart. She immediately began the life and death treatment. Chapter 79. In just half an hour, the boy's head had swelled up quite a bit. His entire head looked like a balloon that had been blown up. Dr. Fan had examined his other injuries, but none of them were fatal. The boy's most serious injury was his head that had been kicked by the horse. He believed that there must be a blood clot in the child's brain, and the only way to remove the blood clot was to open the child's skull. Such a method was almost unheard of in the boundless continent. However, Yunsheng, who had modern medical knowledge, had the same opinion as him. However, Yunsheng also realized the danger of having the skull pierced. Even in modern times, the head was the most vulnerable part of the human body. Even if the craniotomy was assisted by modern sophisticated medical equipment, even if it was successful, it would still leave a lot of sequelae. That was why Yunsheng could speak of the side effects of the craniotomy. In fact, Dr. Fan had a similar experience before. That craniotomy treatment caused the patient's lower body to be paralyzed, and he was still lying in the hospital bed. However, even if half of the body was paralyzed, it was still better than dying. That was why Dr. Fan did not hesitate to choose to have the boy's head pierced. Although she had lived in the medical center for a while, Yunsheng had never entered Dr. Fan's room. She found that Dr. Fan's residence was somewhat similar to the residence of modern Western medicine doctors. There was actually a complete human skeleton here. No wonder the outside world thought that Dr. Fan was a ghost doctor who killed people. Dr. Fan was also paying attention to Yunsheng's reaction. He thought that after Yunsheng saw the human skeleton, she would show a frightened expression. Who would have thought that she would just casually glance at it and no longer have any reaction? According to what you said just now, you should have seen the craniotomy. Later, when I perform the craniotomy, if there is anything wrong, you can directly tell me. In front of Yunsheng's calm performance, Dr. Fan had already ignored the fact that she was a 6-year-old child. He even treated her as an experienced doctor like himself. Okay, the room is too dark. Do you have a bigger mirror? It would be best if it could reach the floor. Yunsheng measured Dr. Fan's room from the perspective of a modern doctor. The room was too narrow, and the inside was a little messy. The most important thing was that there was not enough light. He also needed to prepare alcohol for disinfection. hemostatic agents, and beast tendons for stitching. Dr. Fan seemed to be ill-prepared for these. After being reminded by Yun Sheng, Dr. Fan found a mirror and the alcohol and beast tendons that Yun Sheng requested. However, he did not prepare hemostatic agents. Why don't you have hemostatic agents? The most dangerous part of craniotomy is cerebral hemorrhage. If you don't have hemostatic agents, what if the patient bleeds? Yun Sheng could not help but be surprised. Hemostatic agents are required by ancient medical skills. You forgot that I also learned magic. When I stop bleeding, I don't use hemostatic agents. I have other methods to stop bleeding. After saying that, Dr. Fan began his craniotomy. There was no X-ray machine in the boundless world, nor was there any equipment for taking films. Yun Sheng's Shinong eye was only at the microscopic level, so she could not see the location of the blood clots in the child's brain. But in this aspect, Dr. Fan's experience came into play. His hand felt around the child's swollen head for a moment, and soon landed on the back of the child's head. Judging from the wound, the horse must have kicked the back of the child's head directly, so there was a dent in the horse's hoof. This should be the place where the blood clots had accumulated the most. After confirming the location of the blood clots, Dr. Fan's hand emitted a bone-chilling cold air. Yun Sheng saw that in his hand, water magic elements quickly condensed to form a blade that was not inferior to her own beast bone knife. Using magic elements to condense into a knife that could heal? Witnessing this scene, Yun Sheng could not help but be speechless. Although this ice blade was formed from the water element, its hardness was not inferior to that of the beast bone blade. Furthermore, its shape could be changed according to the magician's own wishes. This was the perfect fusion of magic and ancient medical skills. Yun Sheng seemed to have entered a brand new realm. The combination of magic and ancient medical skills might be able to make up for the lack of modern medical equipment in the boundless world. Yun Sheng could not help but feel her heartbeat quicken. She was looking forward to this craniotomy that still needed to be carried out. Under the refraction of the floor-to-ceiling mirror, the light in the room was much brighter. This was also more beneficial for Dr. Fan to carry out his craniotomy treatment. The magic ice knife cut through the skin at the back of the boy's head, quickly revealing the skull that was covered with nerves and small blood vessels. Blood also flowed out in an instant. But the miraculous thing was, at the place where the magic ice knife cut, the blood that was about to spurt out was immediately frozen by the cold magic elements. Perfect. This way, the so-called symptoms of excessive bleeding would not appear. In fact, in modern medical treatment, there were also methods of using freezing to treat some diseased tissues. But compared to modern medical equipment, the magic elements were more gentle. It could temporarily freeze the blood, but it would not harm the internal tissues of the person. This method was even faster than Yun Sheng directly using gold needles to stop the bleeding. No wonder Dr. Fan said just now that he did not need a hemostatic agent. At this point, the surgery was already half done. Yun Sheng could already see a sticky blood clot with the naked eye. It was this large blood clot that caused the boy's brain to swell and become unconscious. The next step was to break the blood clot in the boy's brain and release it. The ice knife in Dr. Fan's hand slowly became thinner as he cleared out the blood clot in the boy's brain little by little. In a small basin on the ground, there was soon a small basin of blood clot. Just when the blood clot was almost cleared out, Dr. Fan's pupils violently shrank. He realized that his magic elements were not enough to maintain the operation. Due to his late initiation, he was only a sorcerer, and a very simple water sorcerer at that. It was completely impossible for him to complete a craniotomy. Last time, he did not persist at the last moment, which led to the patient's lifelong regret. Dr. Fan, leave the next step to me. Yun Sheng took a step forward and a shiny knife appeared in her hand. Her fingers moved nimbly, and at a speed that was difficult to be seen by the naked eye. The remaining blood clot in the boy's brain was cleaned out. Yun Sheng's expression was dignified. After cleaning out the blood clot in the boy's head, she quickly began to suture the wound on the boy's head. She threaded the tendons, and the needle was like a swimming dragon. The boy's skin was perfectly sewn together under her needle technique, and only a few of the smallest stitches could be seen. The whole process only took a moment. If he did not see it with his own eyes, Dr. Fan would never believe that someone could complete such a difficult suture in such a short time. Yun Sheng, who is she? Chapter 80. Pong, pong, pong. A series of messy knocking sounds could be heard as Cheng Qing led a group of soldiers to the entrance of the little rejuvenation. Sir soldiers, this is the place. Just now, there was a heavily injured boy who was carried in by Dr. Fan. This Dr. Fan isn't a good person. In his early years, he was imprisoned for several days for stealing a corpse from a graveyard. Cheng Qing had failed the examination today and was extremely angry with Yunsheng. When he saw Yunsheng following Dr. Fan back to the medical hall, he couldn't help but wish for the two of them to be arrested as accomplices. Seeing that the door of the clinic was closed, the soldiers shouted a few times outside, but there was still no response from the inside. The soldiers believed Cheng Qing's words even more. They fiercely pounded on the door of the clinic, almost tearing down the entire door of the clinic. "I'm here, I'm here." Dr. Fan came out to welcome them. When he opened the door, he was shocked to see the soldiers. "You are Dr. Fanji of the Bell. I heard that you secretly brought a seriously ill patient back to the medical hall. Where is the patient now?" The soldiers came to investigate, causing a huge commotion. The nearby merchants all gathered outside to watch the show. Cheng Qing thought in his heart, "With so many pairs of eyes watching, let's see how you can escape this time. You've gone against my uncle time and time again. This time, you're dead for sure." Fanji wiped the sweat off his forehead. The patient has already been treated and is currently resting at the back of the medical hall. If you all don't believe me, you can take a look at the back courtyard. Treated? In less than 2 hours, that patient who was so severely injured that even the Medicine Emperor Pavilion didn't have full confidence in treating him was actually cured. Fanji, who are you trying to fool? You're just a doctor who was chased out of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. How can you have such capabilities? Sir soldiers, he must be trying to fool you. Cheng Qing pointed at Fanji's nose and shouted, "Where did this wild dog come from, disturbing the peace of the medical hall?" A little girl walked out from the back of the medical hall. The little girl's mouth was sharp as she scolded Cheng Qing. "I was wondering who it was. So it's the trash who didn't even pass the examination of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, Cheng Qing. It wasn't that Dr. Fan was chased out of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. Rather, it was Dr. Fan who fired the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. Also, you're not even a medicine man, yet you dare to insult Dr. Fan. You should know that Dr. Fan is Dr. Ling. According to the laws of Zhou State, those who insult doctors will be punished with 30 slaps. While everyone was still thinking about the meaning of firing, Yunsheng had already led several officials into the backyard of the medical center. In the room in the backyard, the severely injured and dying boy's head was wrapped in bandages. Although he had not yet woken up, his breathing and complexion were not bad. It was obvious that his life was no longer in danger. Nonsense, isn't this person fine? The officers and soldiers were annoyed after being busy for a while. Coupled with Yunsheng's instigation, they vented all their anger on Cheng Qing. They caught Cheng Qing and wanted to bring him back to the government to be punished. "Officers, please be lenient. This child is a member of our Medicine Emperor Pavilion. He is young and doesn't know any better. If he has offended you in any way, please forgive him." The crowd parted as Yao Rong and Cheng Sihai walked into the medical center. It turned out that after Dr. Fan took the boy away, Yao Rong's thoughts were still uncertain. She was worried that the child's life would be in danger, but she was also worried that Fanji would be implicated. After thinking for a while, she decided to go to the medical center to take a look. Cheng Sihai also wanted to see Fanji's situation when he was sent to prison, so he followed along. Who would have thought that when the two of them walked in, they would hear the scene of the officers punishing Cheng Qing? No matter how useless Cheng Qing was, he was still a member of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. If he was humiliated, it meant that the Medicine Emperor Pavilion was also humiliated. Helpless, Yao Rong walked out. Seeing that the person who came was Imperial Physician Rong, a rank 3 official, how could the officers dare to be negligent? They quickly released Cheng Qing. Yunsheng watched from the side, feeling unhappy. Dr. Fan's face was also tense. Obviously, he did not welcome Yao Rong and the others. That child is already fine? Although she had already guessed the general situation from the discussions of the crowd, Yao Rong still found it hard to believe that Fanji alone was able to treat the severely injured boy without the help of a great national doctor. In the past few years, although she did not show it on the surface, She had been secretly paying attention to Fanji's every move, including his study of magic and the combination of magic and ancient medicine, creating a medical system that was completely different from the Medicine Emperor Pavilion and the Dharma Temple. She also heard that Fanji had made 2 medical mistakes because of this, causing him to be stripped of his qualifications as an imperial physician and a scattered physician. Now, he could only be a doctor. Thank you for your concern, Imperial Physician Yao. That child is lucky and is already out of danger. This time, it was all thanks to that child, Yunsheng. Facing his former junior sister and lover, Dr. Fan had mixed feelings. He hated Yao Rong, but it did not mean that he did not love her. It was a pity that the two of them were different people, and it was difficult for them to return to their former love. Yunsheng? Are you talking about the little girl who just passed the examination? Skull-piercing treatment? She actually helped you complete such a difficult treatment? That's impossible. Hearing the words through the skull, Yao Rong's eyelids suddenly twitched. In the past few years, there were people in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion who had proposed similar treatment methods, but they were all rejected by the higher-ups because that kind of treatment was too difficult. Even Yao Rong herself believed that it was impossible for the surgery to succeed. In this world, there is no such thing as an impossible surgery. There are only doctors who are unwilling to carry out the surgery. Imperial Physician Yao, Dr. Fan has already used his actions to prove that his magic and ancient medicine can cure what ancient medicine can't. Yunsheng was unwilling to see Dr. Fan's pained expression when facing Yao Rong. She walked forward and made a gesture to send him off. Yunsheng, did you really help Fanji complete the skull-piercing treatment? If that's really the case, I will take back my request to let you be my medicine man. Let me ask you one more time. Yunsheng, are you willing to join the Medicine Emperor Pavilion? I can give you the title of Imperial Physician. Yao Rong looked at the little girl who did not even reach her waist with a new gaze and asked in an incomparably passionate manner. When these words came out of her mouth, not only the surrounding crowd, but even Cheng Sihai and his nephew almost dropped their jaws. A 6-year-old physician who was personally recruited by the youngest imperial physician in the Zhou state, Yao Rong. If this news were to spread out, it would definitely cause a sensation in the entire Zhou state. No, it would cause a sensation in the entire continent. The physicians of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion were all the most outstanding physicians in the entire continent. The little girl smiled sweetly, revealing 2 deep dimples at the side of her mouth. Those pitch-black Rumo eyes contained a steadiness that did not match her age. Thank you for your kind intentions, Imperial Physician Yao. No matter how many times you ask, my answer will always be the same. I, Yunsheng, will not join the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, because I want to follow Dr. Fan and pursue a different path of medicine. Chapter 81. Yunsheng's reply left Yao Rong flabbergasted. However, she was also an open-minded person and did not blame Yunsheng for her offensive words. Congratulations, Fanji. I think you have already found someone who can inherit your legacy. Perhaps the decision you made back then was correct. Yao Rong sighed as she looked at Dr. Fan with a complicated gaze. Fanji could not help but be moved. His lips moved. No, it's already too late. From the moment I refused to leave the Medicine Emperor Pavilion with you, I had already made my choice. I am Yao Rong, a member of the Yao family. In this lifetime, I will never be able to leave the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. Yao Rong stopped Fanji from continuing. She took out a medical token and handed it over to Yunsheng. Little girl, your temperament is very similar to mine when I was young. For the sake of patience, you will work tirelessly. I hope your decision today is correct. I believe you will be able to obtain this medical token sooner or later. Since you participated in the treatment today, it proves that you have the qualifications to become a doctor. Even if you refuse to become a doctor of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, you can still use this medical token to become a doctor in the Little Huichun Medical Hall. Yao Rong also wanted to see how far this little girl, who had chosen a completely different path, would be able to go in the near future. Yunsheng did not hold back when she received the medical token. The medical token was a good thing. With it, it meant that she could officially prescribe medicine, make medicine, and help treat patients. This would greatly benefit Yunsheng's income and the research of new medicines in the future. Since the soldiers did not find anything illegal, they withdrew and left. Yao Rong also left with the Chung father and son. On the other hand, the crowd that had gathered to watch the entire process refused to disperse. These people had always thought that Fanji was a third-rate doctor with poor medical skills. Very few people would actually go to the Little Huichun Medical Hall to see a doctor. Today's matter, however, allowed Fanji to turn over a new leaf. Not only that, they also saw with their own eyes that the 6-year-old doctor in the Little Huichun Medical Hall rejected the invitation of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion's imperial physician. Oh my God, that was an imperial doctor. A doctor who treated the emperor and the royal family of Zhou State. So what if she was just a little girl who couldn't even reach the medicine cabinet? Little Huichun Medical Hall, Dr. Fan, Little Dr. Yun. Well done. It was unknown who was the first to shout, but the crowd all cheered. Then, some patients rushed into the clinic. The lively scene almost caused the door of the clinic to be pushed down again. It was not until the sun had completely set that the patients in the clinic were sent out one after another. Yun Shang and Dr. Fan first performed a craniotomy today, and then they were surrounded by enthusiastic patients for the entire afternoon. By the time they closed the door, the two of them were already as tired as two dogs. Compared to the two of them, Yun Shang was the younger one. She had also undergone a medicine man assessment in the morning. Logically speaking, she should have already exhausted her physical strength. However, at this moment, she actually obediently went to move the door plank and close it. This made Dr. Fan, who was already so tired that he could not move, sigh endlessly. Dr. Fan naturally did not know that although Yun Shang was small in stature, she wore the Shinnong medical bracelet and had also opened her second strange tendon. Although she did not cultivate Do Chi like the martial artists of the continent, her physique was now not much different from that of an ordinary martial artist. Moreover, as she continued to cultivate the jade marrow art, the rest of her strange tendons would be opened one after another, and her physique would improve further. After experiencing today's events, Yun Shang's position in Dr. Fan's heart was already different. In the beginning, the two of them were just strangers. Later on, the two of them had an employer-employee relationship. However, today, Yun Shang not only helped him get through the crisis of the craniotomy, but also refused the Medicine Emperor's pavilion. Dr. Fan repeatedly recalled Yao Rong's words, and his heart was unable to calm down for a long time. He looked at Yun Shang's small stature, and her figure overlapped with his own daughter who had died young. At that moment, a thought appeared in Dr. Fan's mind. Yun Shang was his daughter. The heavens had pitted him for losing his daughter and had given him compensation. Since Yun Shang's father was unconscious, then he would replace Yun Shang's father and take good care of this child during this period of time. Perhaps one day, all his hopes and pursuits would be realized by Yun Shang. Yun Shang, don't be so busy. Rest for a while. Fanji already had a plan. Since Yun Shang was interested in both magic and ancient medicine, then he should not restrict her growth. If he allowed Yun Shang to stay in the Little Huichun Medical Hall with the status of a junior doctor, although she would be able to help him and earn a living, it would obviously be detrimental to Yun Shang's growth. Previously, during the craniotomy, Fanji had almost failed due to the lack of magic elements. He realized that if he wanted to truly become a magic doctor comparable to the imperial physicians of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, or even surpass them, he had to send Yun Shang to the Magic Academy while she was still young to learn magic. In terms of ancient medicine, with him and Yun Shang's talent, there should not be a big problem. However, in terms of magic, he was only a sorcerer and could not teach her the method of cultivating magic elements. As such, the Magic Academy became the only suitable place for Yun Shang. Yun Shang did not know that Dr. Fan's thoughts were actually the same as hers. According to Yun Shang's plan, she had originally planned to enter the Magic Academy next year. Therefore, after Dr. Fan brought up his idea, Yun Shang also confessed her plan. No, it's better to learn magic and martial arts as early as possible. In Yujing, children who have reached the age of 6 have already started to enter different magic academies or martial arts centers of different grades. Dr. Fan decided that tomorrow morning, he would bring Yun Shang to the Magic Academy in Yujing to inquire about it. In Yujing, there were many different magic academies. Among them, the most famous one with the best resources was undoubtedly the Yujing Magic Academy, which was run by the imperial family. Just as Dr. Fan was thinking about how to send Yunsheng to Yujing Magic Academy, Xiaohei came out. It barked at Yunsheng a few times. Dr. Fan did not realize that Xiaohei was a magic beast. He thought that Xiaohei was just a slightly bigger wild dog. You're saying that the injured boy has already woken up? Earlier, when Yunsheng and Dr. Fan were busy in the medical center, Yunsheng asked Xiaohei to help look after the unconscious boy in the backyard. Although the craniotomy was very successful, Yunsheng still wanted to be careful. She asked Xiaohei to be vigilant. If there was anything wrong with the boy, Xiaohei would immediately run over to tell her. It's best that he's awake. The child is injured, but his family still does not know. It's already dark, and his family must be worried sick. Let's go check on him. If there's no problem, we'll send him home later. Dr. Fan and Yunsheng walked to the backyard together to check on the injured boy. Chapter 82. In the backyard of the clinic, the boy who had woken up saw two strangers and shrank back in fear. Don't move around, you still need to rest for a while. Just when the boy was scared, a beautiful little girl suddenly rushed to his side and glared at him unceremoniously while waving her little fist. The boy had tried to climb out of bed, but the bandage on his head was already bleeding. The boy was so frightened that he didn't even dare to breathe loudly. You saved me. I thought I was going to die. Thank you. The boy could already speak, but he was stuttering, perhaps because he was too frightened. When Xiaohei went to report, the boy looked around and realized that he was in a clinic. There were herbs drying outside, and his head was bandaged. The boy looked a little silly and rustic, like a potato that had just been dug out of the soil. It was no wonder that his family didn't come looking for him, even after he was brought to the little Huichun clinic. It was because he wasn't from the Jade capital. When the boy woke up, he remembered that he had been trampled by a horse on the street. Even the teachers in the school might not be able to treat such a serious injury. As he recalled, he suddenly felt around his body in a panic. Scepter. My magic scepter? The boy was about to cry. The most important thing in his body was his magic scepter. His family had saved up a whole year's worth of money to buy this magic scepter for him. Don't move. If you do this again, do you believe that I will knock you out with one punch? Yunsheng waved her fist at him when she saw that the wound on his head that had just healed was about to split open again. The aura of the big sister of Banana Leaf Village was immediately exposed. The boy was so frightened that he immediately stopped moving. However, he kept muttering, Magic Scepter. You are from the Magic Academy. Dr. Fan sized up the boy and vaguely sensed magical waves on his body. However, these waves weren't strong. This child's cultivation should be between a sorcerer's apprentice and a sorcerer's. Yes, I'm a student of the Royal Magic Academy. My magic scepter. The boy struggled to recount what had happened to him during the day. The boy's name was Gufeng. He was 7 years old and lived in a small mountain village thousands of miles away from the Jade capital. From the sound of it, that small mountain village should be similar to Banana Leaf Village. It was isolated from the rest of the world, and the people were simple. When Gufeng was 3 years old, he participated in his first magic enlightenment and was discovered to have an extremely rare light element in his body. When the news spread, the small mountain village was in an uproar. It had to be known that there hadn't been a child who could comprehend the elements of magic in over 100 years. Moreover, the child was a light mage. This was really too amazing. Due to the boy's special magic attribute and the fact that Zhou State had been working hard to cultivate magic talents, Gufeng was recommended by the village to be a national public student. He completed his apprenticeship in the local city and was then sent to the Royal Magic Academy. I've only been here for a few months because my magic isn't good, and I'm very stupid. I've always been bullied by the students of the academy. Gufeng uneasily pulled at his clothes. His clothes were covered in patches. On the Boundless Continent, the tuition fees for sorcerers' apprentices and martial arts students were subsidized by the state. However, after becoming a sorcerer or martial arts student, if they wanted to enter a higher-level magic academy or martial arts school, they had to find ways to raise their own tuition fees. However, there was also a situation where both the inside and outside were public students. Public students referred to sorcerers and martial arts students who came from poor families but had a certain level of magical talent. Most of them were young and couldn't earn their own tuition fees. Under such circumstances, the state would give them a certain amount of tuition fees and arrange for them to work in the academy or martial arts school. They would also be paid accordingly. Gu Feng was one of the public students of the Royal Magic Academy. Yun Sheng roughly understood the entire process of the matter. The Royal Magic Academy was the best magic academy in Zhou State. The most talented and wealthy magic students in Zhou State gathered there. These people were either born in the royal family, or were the sons of officials, or the sons of aristocratic families in Zhou State. At the very least, their families were rich and they racked their brains to enter the Magic Academy. These people obviously looked down on Gu Feng, who was poor and didn't know any powerful magic. In modern times, this was a typical case of school bullying. So, the incident of being trampled by horses and the old injuries on your body were all caused by the students of Yujing Magic Academy? Yun Sheng was furious when she heard this. Earlier, when she was bandaging Gu Feng's wounds, she noticed that other than the marks of being trampled by horses, there were also many old injuries on his body. The old injuries were densely packed, and it was obvious that they weren't caused in a day or two. Thinking about it, Gu Feng had been bullied ever since he entered the Royal Magic Academy. Gu Feng didn't answer, but his gloomy eyes told Yun Sheng all the answers. They're too much. Don't they know that casually trampling on people can lead to death? Perhaps because Yu Do was born in a small mountain village, Yun Sheng, who had experienced similar bullying incidents earlier, felt a sense of familiarity with Gu Feng at first sight. At this moment, there was a fire in her heart that kept bursting out. Since they were from the Magic Academy, then let's compete with magic. Yun Sheng rolled up her sleeves and pulled out her magic scepter. So there's such a thing in the Royal Magic Academy. Dr. Fan shook his head as he heard this. He had originally planned to send Yun Sheng to the best Royal Magic Academy, but now it seemed that this plan had to be reconsidered. So you're also a sorcerer. Thank you for your treatment. The Magic Academy doesn't allow outsiders to enter. Oh no, I haven't returned to the academy yet. If the tutor finds out, I'll definitely be punished. Thank you both. I'll go back first. Gu Feng was so engrossed in his conversation with Yun Sheng that he almost forgot that there was a curfew in the Royal Magic Academy. Today, he had been dragged out of the academy by a group of magic students and was heavily injured after being trampled on by horses. The tutor didn't know about this. If she found out, he would be grounded. The more Gu Feng thought about it, the more afraid he became. He didn't care about his injuries and insisted on rushing back to the Royal Magic Academy. Seeing that they couldn't persuade this stubborn person, Yun Sheng and Dr. Fan could only come up with another plan. You can't move around with your injuries. How about this? If you must go back, let me and Dr. Fan send you back. At the same time, we'll explain to your tutor why you didn't return home tonight. Also, you must tell your tutor about the group of hateful magic students bullying you. Yun Sheng and Dr. Fan discussed this. They didn't feel comfortable letting Gu Feng go back alone. Yun Sheng also wanted to see what the Royal Magic Academy was like. The two of them pushed the medicine cart and sent Gu Feng back to the Royal Magic Academy overnight. Chapter 83. It was already very late, and there was only a hazy moonlight all around. Unable to stop Gu Feng from insisting on rushing back to the Magic Academy, Yun Sheng and Dr. Fan could only push the cart all the way to the Royal Magic Academy. Before going to the Royal Magic Academy, Yun Sheng's impression of the Magic Academy was still stuck in a magic novel that she liked very much in her previous life. In fact, when she arrived at the Yujing Royal Magic Academy under Gu Feng's guidance, she saw that Zhou State's #1 Magic Academy was not much different from the one in the book. The Royal Magic Academy was built with a huge amount of money by the Zhou State's royal family. Its location was not just in Yujing City, but outside of Yujing City, on a mountain with a beautiful scenery. This mountain was called Yucang. In the early years, it was a hunting estate of the Zhou State's royal family. After some remodeling, it became the Royal Magic Academy of today. The Magic Academy was surrounded by mountains and rivers. Just the area alone was close to 1,000 mu. Because of the magic array, it was surrounded by trees all year round, and the scenery was incomparably beautiful. The academy built a plaza, a straight road, and a luxurious building with a royal style. According to Gu Feng, The academy also built a special magic tower for students of different levels to study. When Yunsheng and Dr. Fan arrived at the entrance of the academy, they saw a few magic arrays that emitted a gentle magical glow. In front of them was the entrance of the Magic Academy. The Yujing Magic Academy's emblem was hanging on the entrance. On the emblem was a magic scepter. Around the scepter were the 4 elements of nature: red fire, yellow earth, blue water, and green wind. At the bottom of the emblem were the words, Yujing. Beginner student Gufeng, why did you only come back this hour? Also, the academy prohibits outsiders from entering. Did you forget the rules? When the 3 of them approached, the guards at the entrance stopped them. I. Gufeng was nervous and stuttered even more. His tone was uneasy, and he did not know how to answer. We've already informed your mentor, Mary. If you have any explanations, you can tell them to her. The guards could also see that Gufeng was injured. Looking at the 2 strangers, they immediately informed the mentors of the academy. Soon, a female magic instructor rushed out of the school like a whirlwind. The female magician was dressed in a red magician's robe and was incomparably beautiful. She held a magic scepter in her hand. Yunsheng took a look and discovered that she was a master magician. As soon as Yunsheng saw her, she was sure that this female magic instructor must be a wind and fire magician. Gufeng, you brat, do you want to be grounded? This month, because you've been dragging us down in combat class, our potion group 13 has been at the bottom for 2 consecutive months. If this goes on, I'll be laughed at by the other instructors at the end of the semester. The female magic instructor was Gufeng's teacher. In the Magic Academy, every student who entered the Magic Academy in their first year would have a magic tutor to teach them. The magic tutor could be chosen by the tutor, or it could be randomly arranged by the academy. Most of the tutors liked to choose smart and strong students. Mary had some family matters at the beginning of the semester, so she returned a little late. The students left for her were the leftovers of others, including Gufeng and another student. The Royal Magic Academy was strict. Students were not allowed to go out for most of the time in the month. Today was Public Day, which was the monthly opening day of the Royal Magic Academy. At the same time, it was a holiday for the students. The academy allowed the students to go out, but they had to return to the Royal Magic Academy before sunset. After sunset, Mary went to the students' dormitory to check, but found that Gufeng had not returned. After asking Gufeng's roommate, she found out that Gufeng had gone to the city to buy a magic scepter today. Most mages would buy a magic scepter directly after being certified by the Mage Temple. But as a public student, Gufeng was too poor, so he had to wait until today to have enough money to buy his own magic scepter. Mary understood Gufeng's personality. He would not dare to not return to the academy without permission. Who knew that after waiting for a while, he still had not returned. Mary was anxious and wanted to go out to look for him. Who knew that the academy guard would send news that her student Gufeng had returned, and had even violated the academy's rules by bringing 2 outsiders with him. Mary was a 2-headed wax. She would burn at the slightest provocation and kill. She was just about to teach Gufeng a lesson when she found that this silly boy's head was wrapped up like a dumpling. She then looked at his body and saw that his clothes were tattered and full of dirt. Gufeng, what's going on? Mary had a bad temper and was dissatisfied with Gufeng dragging her group down. But that did not mean that she would let her student be bullied. Her gaze immediately fell on the suspicious characters Yunsheng and Dr. Fan. That little one, who looked no more than 5 or 6 years old, was definitely not her. She must be old. But looking at Dr. Fan's appearance and the magical elemental aura around him, Mary felt that something was wrong. No need to look, we didn't bully him. It was the people from the Magic Academy who bullied Gufeng. He was trampled by a horse today and almost died. If you don't believe me, you can look at the back of his head. Yunsheng interrupted. What? Did those rascals from the Magic Combat Department bully you again? Tell me, which group are they from? From Mary's words, it seemed that the Magic Academy was divided into 2 groups, the Magic Combat Department and the Magic Potion Department. No, I accidentally fell down and was stepped on by a passing horse, Gufeng hurriedly denied. Seeing his cowardly appearance, if it wasn't for the injury on his head, Yunsheng really would have knocked him on the head and quietly woken this naive boy up. Mary saw that Goofing refused to admit it no matter what and was angry. She was also depressed by her student's cowardice. I told you to go out with Poison Boy, but you didn't listen. You deserve to be bullied. And you too, thank you for bringing my student back. It's getting late, and the Royal Magic Academy does not allow outsiders to stay. You can leave now, Mary said with a look of disappointment. At the same time, she ordered Yun Sheng and Dr. Fan to leave. Ms. Mary, don't rush. Yun Sheng, she's my benefactor. She also wants to enter the Royal Magic Academy. Can you help recommend her to enter the academy? Goofing looked silly, but he knew how to repay kindness. He had overheard Yun Sheng say that she also wanted to enter the Magic Academy, so he wanted his tutor to recommend Yun Sheng. He also hoped to have another student who he could get along with. It would be best if she could join their Magic Potion Department 13. You want to enter the Magic Academy? You don't have the chance this year, but you have to come early next year. Mary waved her hand and used a wind magic levitation spell to lift Goofing into the Royal Magic Academy. Chapter 84. Come back next year? What was going on? Seeing that he couldn't help Yun Sheng, Goofing kept apologizing, but was pulled back by Mei Li. After being rejected by Mei Li outside the school gates, Yun Sheng asked the school guard and found out that she had missed the enrollment period for the Imperial Magic Academy. The magic academies and dojos on the mainland all accepted students in the spring. The Imperial Magic Academy's enrollment period was set in the spring every year, and this year's enrollment period had ended 2 months ago. It was already the beginning of summer, which meant that if Yun Sheng wanted to enter the Magic Academy, she would have to wait until next year to register for the examination. Dr. Fan could only console Yun Sheng. A year would pass very quickly, and in this year, she could first learn the elementary water magic that Dr. Fan knew, Cloud Dream and Ice Sleep. This way, Yun Sheng would be able to grasp the basics of magic with 3 elements. After that day, the medical center became much busier. Half a month had passed, and the sun was hotter day by day, officially entering the height of summer. Only then did Yun Sheng remember that she had agreed with Wanren Xiu to send medicine to Wanren Manor. The medical center's income was stable, and Yun Sheng had also begun to get in touch with the matters of a doctor. However, the profits from selling finished medicine were considerable, and Yun Sheng wanted to refine some new medicine, which required a large amount of money. Thus, Yun Sheng decided to make a trip to Wanren Manor to sell the qi-gathering elixir and meditation water that she had already refined. During the lunch break, before the medical center became busy, Yun Sheng asked for leave from Dr. Fan. She put on the beast language ring, put the new medicine into the ring, and left. As soon as Yun Sheng left the medical center, Xiaohei followed her eagerly. Yun Sheng hadn't brought Xiaohei out for a while, and seeing that it was bored, Yun Sheng brought it out with her. Wanren Manor was located in Changlin Alley, which was a secluded alley south of Yujing City. Most of the buildings in the alley were large courtyards, and there weren't many residences. Furthermore, they were all courtyards with their own gates, and it was obvious that they were the residences of the wealthy families in the Jade Capital. After Yun Sheng knocked on the door, a kind-looking old servant came out. Hearing that Yun Sheng came for Wanren Xiu, the old servant was delighted. "Are you the little thing that young master mentioned?" Yun Sheng pursed her lips. He called her a little thing again. For the sake of money, she endured it. The Jade Marrow technique that Yun Sheng cultivated was a very gentle Taoist internal cultivation technique. Although it could strengthen the body and open up the 8 extraordinary meridians, it was different from the battle chi of the boundless continent's martial artists. On the surface, there wasn't much difference. Yun Sheng was only 6 years old and looked small and skinny. She had been taking good care of herself in the Jade Capital, so she looked chubby and was indeed younger than her actual age. It was inevitable that she would be called a little thing by others. Not long after the old servant entered to report, he heard a series of urgent footsteps coming from the courtyard. When Yun Sheng heard the footsteps, she could tell that there were a few people rapidly walking towards the entrance. It seemed like there were other guests in Wanren Xiu's manor. The bear-like man, a female magician who looked like a warrior, and Wanren Xiu, who looked 100 times prettier than a woman, rushed to Yun Sheng like a tornado, 1 in front and 2 behind. In the past month, Wanren Xiu had been anxiously waiting for Yun Sheng's appearance in the manor. who knew that Yun Shang had delayed the delivery of medicine because of the medical hall and the medicine man examination, which made Wanrenshio suffer. He had been knocked by Feng Kuo and Mu Nanyan countless times like a wooden fish. He had been reprimanded numerous times, which made him feel suffocated. Today, when he heard the servant say that there was a young lady at the entrance looking for him, he was ecstatic. That scene made him even happier than when he saw his sweetheart. "Little thing, you're finally here. This young master has been waiting for you to death." Wanrenshio's flower-like, delicate face was filled with smiles. Mu Nanyan also sized up Yun Shang. Sure enough, it was as Wanrenshio had described earlier. The other party was young and had a pair of black eyes. Although the other party's clothes were simple and plain, he looked full of spirit. He was indeed a lovable little fellow. Just as Yun Shang was thinking about the background of the other two people, the man who looked the most terrifying among the three, who looked like a bear, took a big stride forward. He opened his arms and wanted to pick up Yun Shang to take a closer look without saying anything. Who knew that when his body just leaned forward, a black shadow suddenly rushed out from behind Yun Shang. That was Xiao He, who misunderstood that the man wanted to harm Yun Shang and was eager to protect his master. Xiao He's pair of sharp claws slashed out several claw winds, attacking Feng Kuo. Different from when he was just saved by Yun Shang, Xiao He had grown taller and stronger. He looked like a lively little wolf cub. Just now, along the way, many passers-by were frightened by Xiao He and retreated. Feng Kuo was a dual cultivator of magic and martial arts, so he was not to be trifled with. He sucked in his chest and stomach and leaped backwards. His tall body was like a feather. After flying a few steps, he glared like a tiger and swept his long legs towards Xiao He like a praying mantis sweeping the ground. Xiao He saw that it was about to be swept by the leg wind, but it did not panic. It nimbly dodged to the side. "Oh my, it's actually a war beast." Mu Nanyan and Wanrenshio were shocked. Feng Kuo's face also showed a strange expression. "Little thing, that's our captain. He's one of us." Wanrenshio hurriedly went forward to stop it. With Yun Shang's shout, Xiao He immediately retreated. "Wait, this little thing can understand you. You can control war beasts. Are you a summoner?" Feng Kuo and the others were experienced. They immediately recognized the unusual relationship between Yun Shang and Xiao He. Moreover, Yun Shang and Xiao He cooperated well just now. Only a summoner could control war beasts so freely. The three bounty hunters looked at Yun Shang expectantly. "I'm a summoner, but I haven't passed the assessment. Xiao He is not my war beast. It's just a war beast pet, and I can't go to the summoning center." Yun Shang was scared by the three people staring at her. She had already summoned the puffed egg, so she could be considered a war beast summoner. However, in the Boundless Land, one had to pass a special assessment to become a summoner. Hence, Yun Shang was not a war beast summoner in the true sense for the time being. Her mother, Hu Jiusheng, had reminded Yun Shang not to let others know that she was a summoner. Hence, Yun Shang did not go to the summoning center for the assessment. Yun Shang had just finished speaking when she suddenly felt her body become light. She was already carried up by a pair of big furry hands. A bear-like face swayed in front of him. Feng Kuo grinned and put Yun Shang on his shoulder. "Are you worried that your identity as a summoner will be exposed and you will be pestered? Don't worry, with us here, we can naturally help you hide this matter. We will bring you to the summoning center to participate in the War Beast Summoner assessment." It was really a case of someone giving her a pillow when she wanted to sleep. What the Phoenix Soaring hunting team lacked now was a summoner. Yun Shang was brought to the summoning center by Feng Kuo and the others in a daze. The three of them were so excited that they forgot to ask what Yun Shang's real war beast was. Chapter 85. The Jade Capital Summoning Office was a place led by the Zao state of the Boundless Continent, specifically used for summoners. As long as a beast speaker passed the summoning office's assessment, they would be certified as a summoner. Feng Kuo promised Yun Shang that he would not expose her identity. Therefore, before Yun Shang entered the summoning office, he gave Yun Shang a small gift. It was a small toy that looked like an earring. It looked like a small accessory made of a demon beast's soul stone. It was called the Illusion Earring, and it was also a special magic tool. Regarding magic tools, Shang had come into contact with them when she was almost plotted against by Ding Lei in Banana Leaf Village. Simply put, magic tools were made by specialized magic craftsmen. They were tools that were enchanted with special magic. This illusion earring was enchanted with a permanent fog magic. When Shang wore the illusion earring, even if she stood in front of someone, the other party would not be able to remember her face. They would only remember that Shang's face was covered with a layer of fog. One Renxiu and the others also had a similar magic tool. For bounty hunters like them, it was inevitable that they would do some shady business. Therefore, a magic tool that could change one's appearance was a must-have tool for killing and robbing. With this magic tool, Shang did not have to worry about her identity being exposed. Where is everyone? We're here to participate in the summoner assessment. Shang arrived at the Jade Capital Summoning Office accompanied by Feng Kuo and the others. There were very few summoners in Zhou State. Even the summoning office was deserted. There were not many people there. In such a huge summoning office, only one examiner could be seen. Feng Kuo was so tall and had a rough voice. As soon as he walked into the summoning office, he immediately roared away the sleepiness of the examiner. Who wants to participate in the summoner assessment? The people in the summoning office thought that the examiners were Feng Kuo and the other two. Feng Kuo simply raised Shang with one hand, making Shang very embarrassed. However, it had to be said that sitting on Feng Kuo's shoulder and looking down from above felt quite good. Compared to such a tall man, Shang was simply like a doll. She was very petite. No wonder the examiner didn't see her. You, little girl, you can summon beasts? What kind of beast did you summon? The people in the summoning office became excited. Zhou State didn't have many summoners. Every year, the number of new summoners submitted by the summoning office in Jade Capital was very low. If they could get one more, they would. Only the people in the summoning office knew how rare summoners were in Zhou State. Even the Huang family in Zhou State did not have more than 5 summoners. What kind of beast was Bo? Shang really hadn't thought about this question in depth. According to the continent's classification of beasts, beasts could be categorized into plants, animals, or even some strange weapon spirits, or even magic spirits. However, the latter two were very rare. Most summoners could only summon plants or animals. It should be an animal. Shang wasn't sure about the specific type of puffed egg. However, puffed egg had wings, so it was definitely an animal. What is the beast's battle skill? Is it a warrior-type beast, or a magic-type beast? Or is it some other rare auxiliary battle skill? The staff in the summoning office continued to ask. It doesn't seem to know magic or battle skills. If it's attacking ability, it's very good at crying. Shang's voice became softer and softer as she spoke. The 3 bounty hunters at the side were also confused. A beast that was good at crying. This was the first time they had heard of it. At first, they thought that Xiao He was Shang's beast. They didn't expect it to be a battle pet. Crying. Crying can't be considered a battle skill, right? The staff in the summoning office was in a difficult position. Beasts, as the name implied, were supposed to help their masters in battle. A beast that loved to cry, this was too outrageous. Who said crying can't be considered a battle skill? The so-called battle skill is a skill that has the ability to attack or threaten. If you don't believe me, you can try to resist Bo's crying for a quarter of an hour. Shang was a little unconvinced. She immediately chanted a summoning spell. After a wave of magic elements, a lively monster egg with wings appeared in front of Shang. Bo, my dear master, you haven't summoned Bo for a long time. Bo thought you didn't want Bo anymore. Yin, why are there so many people here? I'll be shy. Puffed Egg was very excited. It jumped around Shang nonstop. The language of beasts could only be understood by beast summoners who were telepathically connected with their beasts. Therefore, in other people's ears, it was just a noisy monster egg. Bo, this is the summoning office. I'm taking the beast summoner's assessment. This is very important to me. But the examiner said that you're too ugly and too useless. You don't even know a single battle skill. You're not qualified to be called a beast. He told me to quickly cancel the contract with you and find a new beast. Shang started to lecture it. Ugly? Useless? Canceling the contract was too much of a blow to the egg, too insulting. Wah! A burst of earth-shaking wailing, accompanied by two fountain-like streams of tears. Puffed Egg jumped up and down, letting out an incomparably tragic, wailing sound. The sound was like the sound of a demon demanding a life. The most frightening thing was that while Bobo was crying, it was unknown how a small egg like it could have so many tears. In a short while, Puffed Egg's tears flooded half of the examination room. Not to mention a quarter of an hour. In just a short 5 minutes, the examiner from the summoning office felt that his head was heavy. His hands and feet twitched, and he almost foamed at the mouth and fainted. Too frightening. This egg wasn't crying at all. It was clearly proficient in some kind of extremely frightening soundwave-type mental attack. The examiner from the summoning office didn't dare to underestimate Bobo anymore. Without thinking, he risked his old life, grabbed a piece of paper with trembling hands, and wrote a few strokes on it. Beast level pending, an unknown egg-type magical beast. Good at mental attacks, extremely destructive power. The examiner from the summoning office begged Yun Sheng to quickly summon her beast back. Yun Sheng immediately summoned the puffed egg back. Fortunately, the puffed egg's cries had little effect on her. Otherwise, she really would have canceled the contract with it immediately. Congratulations, you've become a summoner. This is your summoner ring. From today onwards, you're a real beast summoner. The examiner from the summoning office glanced at the name Yun Sheng left behind. On it was written, Yin Yun. Yun Sheng took the summoner ring. This ring was very similar to the beast speech ring, but it was only a summoning ring. It wasn't like the ring left behind by her mother, Hu Jiusheng, which could store items. Yun Sheng quietly swapped the two rings. In the future, she would use the beast speech ring left behind by her mother as a summoning ring. When they walked out of the summoning office, Wenren Xiu and Mu Nanyan both held onto the wall to walk out. Only Feng Kuo was slightly better, but when he walked, his legs were also trembling. When they reached the door, Wenren Xiu sighed, I've learned something new. It turns out crying is also a kind of battle skill. Chapter 86. Huang Ting and the other two only had one thought in their minds at this moment. Yun Sheng's beast was too strong. If anyone told them that crying was not a combat skill next time, they would make him cry immediately. Although this beast summoner came inexplicably, the little thing in front of them had at least become a summoner certified by the summoning center. Just now, the three of them had been careful. They had entered the summoning center from the main entrance, but had sneaked out from the back door. They were sure that no one would know that just now, another beast summoner had silently appeared in Dezhou. For other countries on the mainland, especially Penglai, which was rich in summoners, a beast summoner might not be a big deal. However, Yun Sheng was a beast summoner more than 6 years old. She could also refine high-quality finished products. Her future development potential must be amazing. Before the news spread and other forces in Yujing City took action, they had to quickly pull Yun Sheng into their bounty hunting team. However, Yun Sheng's age was a problem. She was only 6.5 years old. If she reported her age to the Hunters Guild, the other hunting teams would laugh at her. Feng Kuo, Wenren Xiu, and Mu Nanyan communicated silently with their eyes, hoping to find a way to get the best of both worlds. In the end, it was still Captain Feng Kuo who made the decision. He tried his best to put on what he thought was the kindest smile he had ever shown in his life. He bent down like a cat and said, Little thing, our hunting team still lacks a beast summoner. Do you want to join our hunting team? He didn't know that at that moment, Wenren Xiu and Mu Nanyan both felt that their leader looked like a wretched weird uncle holding a lollipop to kidnap a little girl. Captain Feng, I'm sorry. I have to help with the medical center. I also plan to enter the Royal Magic Academy at the beginning of next year and accept the systematic magic study, so I can't join your hunting team. Yun Sheng politely refused Feng Kuo's invitation. Just now, on the way to the summoning center, Wenren Xiu expressed to Yun Sheng that she was willing to buy Yun Sheng's potions at 3 times the price in the future. In this way, Yun Sheng's basic living expenses in Yujing City and even the tuition fees of the Magic Academy were basically solved. Although she had become a summoner, Yun Sheng still hoped to go further in magic. Only with more powerful magic elements could she break through the summoning level. Royal Magic Academy? What's so good about that place? It's just a place for idiots. If you want to learn magic, just look for me and swallow. Feng Kuo was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. It was not easy for him to find such a summoner, but now, the other party was unwilling to join their team. This was really making him anxious. Boss, I don't agree with her learning magic from us. Our magic is killing magic. Mu Nanyan looked at the 5 uncouth men, but her mind was unusually meticulous. She felt that Yun Sheng was indeed too young. She was not suitable to be a bounty hunter with them, let alone participate in leveling up combat. Although the Royal Magic Academy might not be able to learn advanced magic, it was indeed the most systematic place to learn basic magic. Boss, although I don't want to admit it, I also feel that the tomboy is right this time. Even Wenren Xiu felt the same way as Mu Nanyan. Wenren Xiu and Yun Sheng had not known each other for long, but Yun Sheng was very sensible despite her young age. This made Wenren Xiu, who was an only child since young, have the impulse to treat her as her own sister and dote on her. Yun Sheng's ability to make potions was top-notch. She was more suited to saving people than killing people. Being a bounty hunter was not suitable for this little thing in front of her. Yun Sheng listened to the two people's sincere words, but her heart quietly changed. The people in front of her had only met her by chance, but they were so considerate of her. It really surprised her. But, if we don't have her, where are we going to find another summoner? Are we going to stay in the C-rank hunting team forever? Feng Kuo also knew that Yun Sheng was too young, but that was also something that could not be helped. Captain Feng Kuo, I can't be your official member, but I can be your substitute member. I promise you that after I learn basic magic from the Royal Magic Academy, as long as you need me, I can temporarily be your member. Yun Sheng could see that the people in front of her must have difficulties. She was a person who would take revenge and repay kindness. She would remember the kindness of Huang Tong and the other two. When the three heard that, they all felt that Yun Sheng's words were feasible. Letting Yun Sheng be a temporary member meant that she did not need to follow them to do missions. She only needed to participate in the final assessment of the CB rank hunting team. But before that, they really needed to let Yun Sheng strengthen her magic cultivation. This idea is not bad. Little thing, you've helped us Huang Tong a lot. Since that's the case, we should also return the favor. How about this? Let the leader recommend you to join the Royal Magic Academy. Wenren Correo liked this clever and sensible little girl. Yun Sheng only knew that to join the Royal Magic Academy, she had to rush in every spring. But there was one thing she did not know. Not every child of the right age could join the Royal Magic Academy. Only the children of nobles and rich families could enter. If the commoners wanted to enter, they had to undergo a very strict magic assessment. If the first few conditions did not match, then there was only one way left, and that was to be specially enrolled. As the name suggested, specially enrolled students were students with special skills. And Feng Kuo happened to have this channel to let Yun Sheng enter the Royal Magic Academy under the name of specially enrolled students. As for the reason, it was because Feng Kuo himself was a lecturer in the Royal Magic Academy. Don't be too surprised. The teachers in the Royal Magic Academy are all armchair strategists. I've been hired to be the magic lecturer for the combat class. Feng Kuo did as he said. Without any hesitation, he directly brought Yun Sheng to Yujing Magic Academy. Yun Sheng did not expect that she would arrive at Yujing Magic Academy so quickly. Feng Kuo disliked Yun Sheng's short legs and slow walking, so he directly put Yun Sheng on his shoulder and walked towards the Magic Academy's admissions office. As he walked, he also introduced the situation of Yujing Magic Academy to Yun Sheng. Yujing Royal Magic Academy was a magic academy established by the previous emperor of Zhou State. The original decree was to change Zhou State's many years of poor magic and the tradition of emphasizing martial arts. But the establishment of the Magic Academy did not change the current situation of Zhou State. In the past few years, the Royal Magic Academy had always been at the bottom of the list of intermediate magic academies in the mainland. Regardless of whether it was the magic combat competition or the innovation of magic potions, they did not have any outstanding results. So, the Royal Magic Academy was once called a trash academy. This was also why Feng Kuo had a look of disdain when he first heard that Yun Sheng wanted to join the Royal Magic Academy. If not to satisfy the vanity of some people in his family, he would not have bothered to teach at the Royal Magic Academy. Chapter 87. Unlike the previous time, when Feng Kuo brought the outsider through the school gate, the guards did not even make a sound, let alone ask who the child sitting on Feng Kuo's shoulder was. At this time, Yunsheng still did not know that Feng Kuo was also considered a tyrant in the Royal Magic Academy. His nickname was Human Combat Machine. Among the weak magic teachers, Feng Kuo was famous for being tyrannical in both magic and magic combat and magic potions. There is also learning how to make magic potions in the Royal Magic Academy. Yunsheng heard a new magic term. I almost forgot. When you go to the admissions office to complete the procedures later, you have to immediately choose your future magic study direction. After all, you entered the school later than others. The other beginner students have already been studying for 2 months. Feng Kuo looked like a rough person, but he was a thorough person. He told Yunsheng that in the Royal Magic Academy, there were 2 schools of study, magic combat and magic potions. These 2 schools of study were also the 2 major factions in Jade Capital Academy. The so-called magic combat referred to the combat magic. As for magic potions, it was a combination of all kinds of magic from magic potions, including magic healing and magic potion making. Every magic teacher had around 3 students under them. They were responsible for the student studies from magic warrior to grand magic engineer. Feng Kuo himself was a magic combat instructor. It was a pity that he already had 3 combat mage students under him. Otherwise, he would really want to take Yunsheng under his wing, so that they could take care of each other. Magic healing? Could it be light elemental magic? Although Yunsheng possessed a 5 elemental magic soul, she was unable to sense any light elemental magic. When they encountered the beast blood cloud, Xia Wenchu's light magic left a deep impression on her. Another reason why she insisted on going to the Royal Magic Academy was because she wanted to learn light magic through other means outside of the temple. Of course not. After learning magic systematically, you will realize that light magic is not the only thing that can heal. For example, water magic can heal after fusing with magic potions. As a magic master, Feng Kuo's knowledge of magic was much more than Yunsheng's. Pondering for a moment, he continued, on the continent, there are very few people who can truly comprehend the light element. The slightly more talented light-type mages have all been selected by the temple. I remember that ever since the establishment of the Magic Academy, there has only been 1 light-type student. It's a pity that that student's talent in magic combat was ridiculously poor. Feng Kuo's facial muscles trembled as he recalled the first time that student attended a magic combat class. That scene was unbearable to recall. While they were talking, Feng Kuo had already brought Yunsheng into the Imperial Magic Academy's admissions office. When he heard that Feng Kuo wanted to recommend Yunsheng as a specially recruited student to enter the Royal Magic Academy, the tutor at the admissions office had a troubled look on his face. Lecturer Feng, I'm sorry, but the number of specially recruited students for the combat department this year is already full. We can't accept this new student. Oh, it's full, isn't it? Lecturer Fu, I remember now. Your son seems to be in my combat class. I'll have to give him some pointers in the next class. Feng Kuo rubbed his chin and muttered to himself. The tutor was so scared that his face turned pale. Feng Kuo was a dual cultivator of magic and martial arts. He was definitely an anomaly among the mages who couldn't carry anything. His family had only 1 son for 3 generations. If his precious son received Feng Kuo's pointers, then he would be done for. Lecturer Fu clearly remembered that once, a fire-type magic tutor spoke carelessly in front of him. He didn't use any magic at all, and beat him up until he had to stay in the school's infirmary for more than a month. Just now, that little girl came in sitting on Feng Kuo's shoulder. To be able to be so intimate with Feng Kuo, she might be Feng Kuo's illegitimate daughter. He couldn't afford to offend her. Wait a moment, let me take a look. The magic tutor was so flustered that he didn't even have time to wipe the sweat off his forehead. He flipped through the information. That's it. The magic potion department still has a spot for a public student of magic potions. The school can provide breakfast and accommodation for free, but you have to help the magic potion department take care of a public herb field. A public student of the magic potion department? Isn't that the same as the magic potion department? This won't do. You also know that the Magic Potion Department has always been ridden on by the Magic Combat Department. Feng Kuo glared angrily. His pair of bare eyes stared fiercely at the magic tutor. Tutor Feng, I'll be a public student of the magic potion department. As long as I can enter the school as soon as possible, I have no objections. Yun Shang heard from Feng Kuo that whether it was the combat department or the magic potion department, they had to learn beginner magic at the beginner stage. Yun Shang didn't have a problem joining either faction. Moreover, the only person she knew in the Magic Academy, Gu Feng, was also a public student of the Magic Potion Department. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you first. If you're not used to it by then, you can still transfer to another department. Feng Kuo saw that there was really no other way, so he waved his hand and reluctantly agreed to let Yun Shang join the Magic Potion Department. After confirming the Magic Potion Department, then choose another tutor. Right now, there are still a few empty students under the tutors of the Magic Potion Department. The tutor in the admissions office breathed a sigh of relief. His impression of Yun Shang also improved a little. Fortunately, this child didn't inherit her father's fiery temper. In the Magic Academy, it had always been the tutors who chose the students. This time, it was because of Feng Kuo that Yun Shang could choose her own magic tutor. I'll choose her. Yun Shang chose very straightforwardly this time. She pointed at a person in the tutor's handbook. Mary, how can you choose this wicked woman? Who knew that when Feng Kuo saw the person Yun Shang chose, his eyes almost bulged out of their sockets. He had an ugly, constipated look on his face. The reason why Yun Shang chose Minter Mary was very simple. It was because Gu Feng was Mary's student, and the information showed that Mary only had 2 students under her, so she just happened to be short of 1 student. Yun Shang just smiled. She wanted to have the same mentor as Gu Feng. A few hours later, when she received the news from the academy, Minter Mary went berserk. The school has appointed another public student for me? What? And it's Feng Kuo's recommendation? No, I'm going to the admissions office. If Feng Kuo recommends someone to come in at this time, he's definitely not a good person. After receiving the news that she was about to accept a new student, Minter Mei's gorgeous face immediately became murderous. Who was the person she disliked the most in the entire Magic Academy? Feng Kuo was ranked second, and no one was ranked first. Coincidentally, Feng Kuo also thought the same. But, Teacher Mary, the new public student this time is a woman. Haven't you always complained that there are no female students? Gu Feng and a green-robed magic student stood at the side. What I want are lively, cute, beautiful, and smart female students. Do you think that with Feng Kuo's bear appearance, what kind of good can he recommend? Maybe it's a female bear. Don't tell me you want to study with such a new student. Mary gritted her teeth. I heard that the other party is only 6 years old, and she's a fire and earth dual element mage, Gu Feng interjected again. Mary's footsteps stopped. She looked at Gu Feng and the green-robed magic student in front of her again and sighed. Looking at the two of you, I suddenly feel that a bear might be a very cute animal. Chapter 88. Dr. Fan was very happy when he found out that Yun Shang had successfully entered the Magic Academy and had even become a public student of the Magic Potion Department. The more time he spent with Yun Shang, the more he found that this child was like a piece of unpolished jade. That day, the miraculous method of performing the craniotomy, as well as the talent she showed in medicine, made Dr. Fan realize that his many years of desire to combine ancient medicine and magic was likely to be realized by Yun Shang. Leave your father's matter to me for the time being. You only need to concentrate on cultivating magic in the Magic Academy. Here is a book of my many years of experience in alchemy. There are some prescriptions inside that you can use to practice. It also records the cultivation method of Dream Cloud Ice Sleep. When Dr. Fan found out that Yun Shang was going to stay in the Royal Magic Academy, he went out to buy a few sets of new clothes and shoes. He also gave Yun Shang an extra 50 silver coins. Dream Cloud Ice Sleep was a set of special water magic that was a fusion of Dr. Fan's ancient medicine and magic. Although it didn't have any offensive effects, it was easy to learn and understand. After a night of comprehension, Yun Shang had basically grasped the trick of Dream Cloud Ice Sleep. Yun Shang didn't know that Dream Cloud Ice Sleep wasn't easy to comprehend. Otherwise, Dr. Fan wouldn't have spent more than 10 years to comprehend this special magic. But because Yun Shang had a 5-elemental magic spirit, Her concentration was much higher than normal people's. Her ability to comprehend magic was 10 times, or even 10 times stronger than normal people. The biggest benefit of learning Dreamcloud Eye Sleep was that Yun Sheng accidentally discovered that Dreamcloud Eye Sleep could be used on herself. Under the effect of Dreamcloud Eye Sleep, she could enter a state of deep meditation at any time. Her ability to comprehend magic elements and recover magic power was also better. She could even maintain a good state at night without sleeping. After everything was ready, Yun Sheng prepared to go to the Royal Magic Academy. Just as she left the medical hall, she saw Wenren driving a very imposing carriage outside the medical hall. "Little thing, I'm here to send you to the Royal Magic Academy." Wenren had a smile on her face. As a noble, Wenren had long heard of the inequality in the Royal Magic Academy. He came to pick up Yun Sheng because he wanted to tell the people in the Magic Academy that Yun Sheng was not someone without a background. She had Wenren and the Huangting hunting team behind her. How could Yun Sheng not understand Wenren thoughts? Her heart was filled with warmth. However, Wenren carriage, which was as ostentatious as himself, was too high profile. Yun Sheng didn't like this style. Wenren saw Xiao He following behind Yun Sheng, and the corner of his mouth twitched. He did not forget the last time Xiao He fought against Boss Feng. Wenren had never understood why Yun Sheng was such a good little girl. Why were all the magical beasts around her so strange? The egg that had cried so much earlier and the dog that looked like a wolf cub were not to be trifled with. Oh well, the little thing did not look like someone who was easy to bully. Yun Sheng declined Wenren offer to send her. She carried her own luggage and brought Xiao He to the Royal Magic Academy. Although it was the second time Yun Sheng had been to the Jade Capital Magic Academy, she only had a glimpse of it. She did not have time to look at the scenery and buildings in the Magic Academy. This time, she came to enroll in the academy and stopped along the way. Finally, she had the chance to see the Jade Capital Magic Academy that the Zhou State's royal family spent a lot of money to build. The Royal Magic Academy was vast. It was surrounded by small hills, forming a natural basin. The Magic Academy was located in the middle of the basin. It was warm in spring and cool in summer. It was the best place to avoid the summer heat. All kinds of rare trees and flowers were planted around the academy. The buildings here were not as monotonous as other places. There were tower-shaped stone buildings and wooden pavilions. However, the most eye-catching building was a huge tower that stood in the center of the academy. The appearance of the tower was very similar to the Western Clock Tower that Yun Sheng had seen before. However, the tower was a few stories tall. The tower was made of stone. Yun Sheng noticed that the foundation of the tower was engraved with different magic arrays. Just by getting close to the tower, Yun Sheng could feel the rich magic elements around the tower. From the signboard of the Magic Academy, the name of the building was called the Central Magic Tower. Beside the Central Magic Tower, there was a huge man-made magic array that emitted rich magic elements. Yun Sheng was sure that the magic elements in the Central Magic Tower were several times stronger than the outside world. Yun Sheng was very interested in the Central Magic Tower. However, she had to get to the public students' dormitory before nightfall to meet her magic mentor, Mary. Yun Sheng could not stay in the vicinity. Just as Yun Sheng was about to turn around and go directly to the public students' dormitory, she heard a begging sound from the side of the forest. The begging sound was somewhat familiar. This voice, it was Gufeng. Yun Sheng went around to the side of the forest and saw 4 or 5 students wearing intermediate mage robes. One of them was wearing a mage robe embroidered with golden threads and holding a walking stick in each hand. "Songjie, that's my magic scepter. Give it back to me," Gufeng, a public student, said with a red face. After returning to the Magic Academy, he did not dare to tell Mentor Mary about him being bullied. He also did not dare to say that his newly bought magic scepter was missing. But today, when Gufeng was preparing to go to the Central Magic Tower to practice, he accidentally ran into Songjie and his companions who had trampled him that day. Songjie was holding 2 magic scepters in his hands. One of them was the one that Gufeng had bought not long ago. "Gufeng, you said that this lousy magic scepter is yours? Then come and take it from me. Use your light magic to attack me. Why don't you dare? If you don't dare, then kneel down and call me Uncle Song. Then bark like a dog and I'll give it back to you." Songjie and his group laughed loudly. Gufeng had only bought a magic scepter made from the bones of a 10-year-old beast. There was not even a single soul stone on it. Only a poor kid like Gufeng would treat it like a treasure and hide it. What kind of rare light mage was this? A poor kid was a poor kid. He should not have appeared in the Royal Magic Academy. You bully me too much. I. Gu Feng clenched his fat fists together, and a trace of red surged in his eyes. You what? Are you going to go back and complain to Teacher Mary? Or are you going to find Poison Brat to avenge you? Don't forget, your potion department has always been defeated by our combat department. If not for your Teacher Mary being proficient in the art of poison, she would have been kicked out of the Magic Academy long ago. Songjie and his group were young, but their hearts were very bad. They insulted Gufeng and even wanted to break the magic scepter. Suddenly, Gufeng felt a sharp pain in the back of his head. He wiped it with his hand and found blood on the back of his head. Damn it! Who sneaked an attack on me? Who said I sneaked an attack? This is an open fight. A small figure stepped out. Chapter 89. When Gu Feng heard the voice of the person who had come, his face lit up with joy. However, he immediately rushed forward like a little man and protected Yun Shang, who had appeared out of nowhere. He stuttered, "Why did you sneak in? Run. These people are not good people. I'm here." Although he said that, Gu Feng's chubby little legs were still trembling as he protected Yun Shang. It was obvious that he was very scared. Seeing him protect her like a little hen, Yun Shang instantly felt a sense of exasperation. However, at the same time, she felt a sense of warmth in her heart. This little fatty was really loyal. Are you holding me up, or are you next to me? I didn't sneak in. I'm a new public student. I'm also a member of Magic Group 13 like you. Yun Shang couldn't help but sigh at the little fatty's courage. However, acting like a hero was obviously not suitable for him. Ah, you're that brat. Gu Feng was shocked. Another public student. Why would a bunch of poor people want to learn magic? Songjie and the others mocked Yun Shang when they saw her ordinary clothes and luggage. Let's show these two reckless public students the power of the combat department. They pulled out their magic scepters and pointed them at Yun Shang and Gu Feng. A battle between mages naturally had to be fought using magic. Songjie had a total of 3 people, and each of them had a magic scepter in their hands. Yun Shang was the only one on her side. Gu Feng didn't have a magic scepter, so he could only be counted as one of the 3 people. However, Yun Shang didn't think that she would lose. Because Songjie and the others were only mages, they needed time to chant before they could cast magic. Xiaohei. Just as Songjie and the others finished chanting and were about to cast their magic attacks, their surroundings suddenly turned dark. Before they could figure out why the sky suddenly turned dark, Songjie and the others were instantly flustered. For a moment, the red fireball attacks, the green wind scythes, and the blue water arrows flew in the dark. It was very lively. Gu Feng, who was pressed to the ground by Yun Shang, could only hear the screams. Ouch! Who set my clothes on fire? My butt got hit by an arrow. My hair. When Xiaohei's battle technique ended, there were already 3 living corpses lying on the ground. When Gu Feng saw this, his mouth was wide open. These combat magic students were really pitiful. They were only junior students who had just joined the Magic Royal Academy. They had only learned basic offensive magic, but none of them knew defensive magic. Songjie seemed to have been hit by a big fireball. His whole body was burned black. As for the other 2, one of them had his hair shaved messily by the wind scythes, as if he had been bitten by a dog. The other person's but had a big hole directly shot by a water arrow. This incident has taught us that magic is dangerous, and we need to be careful when using it. Yun Shang grinned, the dimples on the side of her mouth rippling. Beside her was a Xiaohei dog. No one knew when it appeared, but its expression was almost the same as Yun Shang's, strange and evil. Gu Feng clicked his tongue. He must be seeing things. How could a magical beast show a smile like a human? The smile of a human and a beast fell into Gu Feng's eyes, but he felt a chill run down his spine. Seeing that they were unconscious on the ground and had long lost consciousness, Yun Shang unceremoniously rummaged through their bodies. You. What are you doing? Gufeng finally recovered from the violent incident just now. When he saw Yun Sheng acting like a bandit, he was scared out of his wits. Of course I'm looking for something. They broke your magic scepter. We have to find some compensation. Do you really think that suffering a loss is a blessing? Hey, what's this thing? Yun Sheng took out a beautiful card from Song Jie's arms. The card was cold to the touch, as if it was made of water. In the middle of the card, there was a drawing of the Central Magic Tower. That's a junior magic card. There should be 5 water magic performance points on the card. The students can use the performance points to exchange for training time in the Magic Tower. When he saw the card, Gufeng showed a look of envy. Because his personal performance was too poor, even though he had been here for almost 2 months, his Magic Medicine Group 13 had never had the chance to enter the Central Magic Tower to train. Although he did not know what this thing was for, seeing that Song Jie kept it close to him, it must be something good. Yun Sheng unceremoniously took the magic card. She then weighed the money bag on Song Jie's body. There were 30 to 40 silver coins and 2 gold coins in it. Looking at this kid's clothes and the magic scepter he used, she knew that this kid's family was not bad. This magic scepter is not bad. Unfortunately, it's made of the bones of a water element magical beast. It does not match your element and will affect your magic. But the soul stone on it is not bad. Dig it out. Since Song Jie broke Gufeng's magic scepter, Yun Sheng did not hesitate to destroy his magic scepter. Song Jie's 2 followers didn't have as much money on hand. They only found a few dozen silver coins. This is not good. Song Jie's family is a high-ranking official. His sister, Song Xiangru, is a member of the Magic Combat Association. She is very powerful. Gufeng was worried. It was not a big deal that his magic scepter was destroyed, but he did not want Yun Sheng to provoke the Magic Combat Association as soon as she entered the Magic Academy. In the Royal Magic Academy, there were many clubs and associations. Most of the leaders and second-in-command were intermediate students. They not only knew beginner magic, but also intermediate magic. Among them, the Magic Combat Association had the most members and power. They also had the most members. Song Jie's sister, Song Xiangru, was one of the main members of the Magic Combat Association. Therefore, as a beginner student, Song Jie could bully others without restraint. Among them, the beginner students of the Magic Potion Department, who were not good at combat magic, were the ones who were bullied the most. If he has the ability, he can call his sister over. Let his sister beat her sister, let his father beat his father, and after beating one, he will beat the whole family. Don't look so bitter. After all this trouble just now, my time to report to the public student dormitory has been delayed. Hurry up and take me there. Yun Sheng urged Gufeng. What Yun Sheng didn't know was that it was because of her unintentional fight this time that the Magic Potion Department and the Magic Combat Department would be locked in a stalemate and battle for the next 2 years. It wasn't until that incident that the situation eased up a little. Yun Sheng was not worried about whether or not Song Jie would take revenge on her. She was worried about how Professor Mary, whose temper was like a fighting bull, would react when she found out that she was late on the first day of reporting. Yun Sheng had only seen Mary once. If she remembered correctly, her female magic tutor's temper was not very good. Yun Sheng's guess was not wrong at all. Mary was indeed fuming at this moment. Damned brat. Late on the first day of reporting. See if I don't teach you a lesson later. Don't think that just because you were brought here by Fengkua, I won't dare to lay my hands on you. Today, I will let you see what I'm, Mary, can do. A treacherous smile crossed Mary's beautiful face. Chapter 90. Most of the public students in the Royal Magic Academy were boys and girls around the age of 10. Because the students were generally young, there were no more than 20 or 30 of them. Because most of the public students were not wealthy and came from remote mountain villages, they could not afford the high tuition and miscellaneous fees. Therefore, the academy directly allocated 2 spacious rooms for the public students to live in. In the 2 rooms, there were only beginner students. When Yun Sheng asked why there were no intermediate students, from Gufeng, she learned that intermediate students would no longer be public students. Intermediate students in the Royal Magic Academy were at least archmages. They could already go outside to be hunters or family magicians. They did not need to worry about tuition. The Royal Magic Academy's duration of study was 10 years. For example, a 6-year-old magician who was recruited could only study in the Royal Magic Academy for a maximum of 5 years. Within these 10 years, the student had to pass the intermediate magic examination. If they could not pass the intermediate student's examination, they would be expelled from the academy. Every year, only 60% of the students passed the intermediate student's examination. The intermediate students who passed the examination could choose to continue to stay in the academy until they graduated. They could also strive to enter the elite camp of the 5 countries. Because the threshold of the elite camp of the 5 countries was too high, almost no intermediate students in the Royal Magic Academy could reach it. If they continued to study in the academy, they would not be able to learn more advanced magic. Therefore, most of the intermediate students would choose to leave early and go to other countries. They would go to more outstanding magic academies or magic arenas to further their studies. Such a situation was even more common among the public students. Those intermediate students who could endure years of bullying and humiliation could no longer bear the hardship. After they became intermediate students, they would immediately leave the Magic Academy. On the contrary, those intermediate students who came from well-off families would choose to continue to use the resources of the Magic Tower in the center of the academy to continue their studies. This was why Gufeng said that there were no intermediate students among the public students. When Yunsheng and Gufeng arrived at the public students' dormitory, the sky was already half dark. As soon as they entered the dormitory, they saw more than 10 lattice beds that were similar to bunk beds. A group of children around the age of 10 were standing in the dormitory. When they saw Gufeng, they all revealed expressions of disdain. Even among the public students, they were divided into different grades and grades. The public students of the combat department had always considered themselves to be superior to the public students of the potion department. Moreover, Gufeng was infamous for being a good-for-nothing in the potions department. A few days ago, they had heard that a public student from the potions department had joined them. Yunsheng and Gufeng had come in together. Everyone immediately understood that Yunsheng was the new public student. She was so skinny and small, and she even brought a dog in. Newcomer, you are not allowed to keep animals in the dormitory. Among the public students, the oldest one, Ting, walked over and gave Yunsheng a shove. Who would have thought that when he gave her a push, the weak-looking little girl in front of him actually didn't move at all, as if she was nailed to the ground. Xiaohei isn't an animal. She's my battle pet. Yunsheng glared at Wu. She could sense that the public student in front of her had ill intentions. As she spoke, Yunsheng suddenly lowered her body and grabbed his joints. With a beautiful backhand twist, she pushed him away. Ting stumbled and fell to the ground awkwardly. A thought flashed through his mind. Could it be that this new student was a dual cultivator of magic and martial arts? No, that couldn't be right. She looked skinny and small, completely different from the tall and muscular martial arts students. After dismissing the possibility that Yunsheng was a martial arts student, Ting immediately got up. He pulled out his magic scepter and began to chant. A new student actually dared to offend him, the second in command of the public students. After all, other than that evil brat, no one else dared to offend him. Following Ting's incantation, his magic scepter began to emit sizzling purplish-blue lightning. A secondary lightning magician? Yunsheng didn't back down and pulled out her magic scepter. She quickly chanted, and several earth spikes emerged from the ground. Ting was so frightened that he stumbled back a few steps. The spell was forced to stop. How could she chant so fast? Ting was not satisfied. Just as he was about to chant a second time, the entire dormitory suddenly fell silent. Even Ting didn't make a sound. A ghostly figure floated into the dormitory. It was a person wearing a green cloak. Apart from a pair of glowing green eyes, Yunsheng couldn't see what he looked like. She couldn't even tell his gender. In the dormitory, apart from Yunsheng, no one noticed when this person came in. It was as if he was a gust of wind. By the time you felt the chill, he had already brushed past you. When Gu Feng saw the person who came, his face, which was originally pale from fright, immediately regained its color as if it was filled with blood. Chi, it's good that you're back. Ting wants to bully Yunsheng. I forgot to introduce. Yunsheng is the new public student. She's the kind person I mentioned to you earlier. She's a new member of our magic medicine group 13, Goofing stuttered, but the person completely ignored him. He walked in front of Yunsheng and handed a brand new quilt to Yunsheng. Teacher Mary asked me to give this to you. Yunsheng curiously glanced at Qi, trying to see his real face under the cloak. Yunsheng was about to take a closer look when she suddenly felt a chill. Under the cloak, the pair of glowing green eyes flashed with disgust and warning. Stare at me. What are you so arrogant for? How dare a little kid stare at me? Yunsheng was furious. She didn't care how powerful this kid named Qi was in the public student dormitory, or whether he was a member of her group. If he dared to stare at her, she wasn't afraid of him. Yunsheng didn't take the quilt and simply stared back at Qi. The two of them were petrified. Black eyes met green eyes, neither of them willing to back down. This made Goofing very anxious. The little fatty hurriedly squeezed between the two of them and tried to persuade them. Yunsheng, she doesn't like people staring at him. He looks a little weird. But he's actually a very nice person. He always helps me in class. You two should get along well. It's a new quilt. Teacher Mary is so unfair. Goofing hurriedly stepped forward and took the quilt from Qi's hands. Unexpectedly, just as Goofing was about to take it, the magic scepter in Yunsheng's hand hit Goofing's hand. Goofing winced in pain. After being hit by Yunsheng's magic scepter, he immediately withdrew his hand that touched the quilt. The seemingly brand new quilt was also loosened and thrown to the ground. The quilt fell apart, and some fine powder spread out from it. If you don't want to wake up early tomorrow morning with your hand crippled, then don't touch that quilt. Yunsheng covered her mouth and nose and kicked the quilt away with her foot. This public student was not simple. As she scolded him, a strange look flashed across Qi's green eyes under the cloak. Chapter 91. Goofing's hand was slapped away by Yunsheng's magic wand. Before he could react, he glanced at the quilt on the ground. What's wrong with the quilt given by Teacher Mary? It's a new quilt. The quilt given to public students in the dormitory is made of old cotton wool, dirty. It's rare for Teacher Mary to be so considerate. But soon, Goofing understood what Yunsheng meant. Just now, although Yunsheng moved quickly, but Goofing still accidentally touched the quilt. On his arm, there was a change. A strand of pig hair drilled out. Ah, 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 Goofing screamed incessantly. But in a flash, on the inner side of his arms where the quilt touched his skin, pig hair drilled out. This quilt has been tampered with. It seems to be some kind of special magic medicine. It smells like some kind of magical beast. Yunsheng lifted the quilt with her scepter and carefully sniffed it. Magic medicine is different from ancient medicine. It studies the fusion of magic and medicine. If there was medicine, it would naturally be poisonous. However, there were also some magic apothecaries who would use the blood of magical beasts to refine poison. Unfortunately, Yunsheng and Goofing's magic teacher, Mary, were very interested in the latter. Oh no, it must be. Teacher Mary, recently, developed the beast poison. Goofing was very anxious. He was already fat. If he grew pig hair, he would really become a pig. If he went out, he would be laughed at. Hearing Goofing's words, Yunsheng already understood what was going on. It seems that her being late on the first day had already angered the hot-tempered Teacher Mary. She sent someone to deliver this quilt to teach Yunsheng a lesson. Who knew that Goofing was so unlucky to be poisoned by beast poison? That's not right. You just touched the quilt and you were poisoned. Then how come he's fine? Yunsheng pointed at Abandon, who was standing leisurely at the side. Abandon's physique is very special. He is immune to all poisons. Goofing looked at the thick, black pig hair on his hand with worry. With Abandon's appearance, the conflict between the public students was temporarily put aside. Yunsheng carefully studied the beast blood poison in Goofing's hands and discovered that it was a completely new type of poison. It was completely different from the finished medicine she had come into contact with. According to Goofing, this was a special magic medicine that was refined using magic, and only Teacher Mary had the antidote. Yunsheng walked around the dormitory and found that the upper and lower lattice booths were basically full. Only the upper bunk of that enigmatic cloaked public student was empty. I'll sleep here. Do you have any objections? Yun Sheng directly threw her luggage onto the upper bunk, not caring about the cold expression on her face. On her first night at the Magic Academy, Yun Sheng slept soundly. Early the next morning, Yun Sheng followed Gufeng to find Teacher Mary. That person called Abandon had disappeared early in the morning. If she had not heard the even breathing of the lower bunk when she slept last night, Yun Sheng would have thought that he had not been in the dormitory at all last night. It's you. Mary finally saw the legendary brat, the new public student Yun Sheng. She quickly recognized that Yun Sheng was the girl who had sent Gufeng over that day. Teacher Mary, thank you for the quilt yesterday. Yun Sheng smiled innocently, but Gufeng spread his hands pitifully. Why are you the one who gets poisoned every time? Teacher Mary did not know whether to laugh or cry. She then took out her magic scepter. Fire Spirit, detoxify. Yun Sheng noticed that the magic scepter in Teacher Mary's hand shone with a gentle flame when she chanted. The flame was different from the strong flames that Yun Sheng usually saw. When the flame appeared, a fire spirit appeared in the magic. The spirit flapped its wings and landed on Gufeng's arm. In the flame, the detoxification technique had just taken effect when the black hair on Gufeng's hand immediately became shorter and thinner. Finally, it fell off, and Gufeng's hand returned to its white and fat state. That was the purifying fire of the elves. Because the magic scepter had been blessed by the elves, its magic attributes had changed to a certain extent. Mary was also the only master of magic in Zhou State who could detoxify the poison with fire magic instead of light magic. How did you find out that I had tampered with the quilt? After retracting the magic scepter, Mary's anger dissipated. At least from the current reaction, she had finally recruited a normal student. Her appearance was quite pleasant, and she was also a dual-element mage. Putting aside the relationship with Feng Kuo, this girl looked very smart and had quick reactions. Compared to Gufeng and the autistic patient, she was much better. What Teacher Mary was curious about was how Yun Sheng found out that although her animal transformation medicine was only a semi-finished product, it was colorless and odorless after her own refinement. I smelled it. Maybe it's because I've been studying medicine since I was a child, but I'm very sensitive to all kinds of smells. Although the quilt was new, the smell I smelled was not the smell of cotton. Yun Sheng rubbed her nose. For a doctor who often needed to dispense medicine, it was necessary to be able to keenly detect different smells. Oh, you're a doctor? But a doctor came to learn magic potions? Mary looked puzzled. Ancient medicine and magic potions don't conflict. Yun Sheng shrugged. Not bad, you're very opinionated. Since that's the case, let's officially get to know each other. I'm Mary, a master of fire and wind magic. I specialize in magic healing. Mary liked Yun Sheng's straightforward personality very much. I heard from Qi that your magic talent is very good, and your chanting ability is very fast. Yun Sheng glanced at Qi. That green-eyed kid had popped out again. It seemed that he had already told Mary about what happened at the public student dormitory yesterday. That's because of my magic scepter, Yun Sheng said as she took out her magic scepter. When she saw Yun Sheng's magic scepter, Mary was surprised at first, because she could see at a glance that Yun Sheng's magic scepter was actually made of a non-elemental magical beast soul bone. For a beginner mage, a magical beast soul bone without magic enhancement was undoubtedly very disadvantageous. But when she saw the blessing of the wind spirit on Yun Sheng's magic scepter, her surprise turned into shock. She quietly pulled Yun Sheng to the side and asked, "You have a multi-elemental magic soul?" Yun Sheng couldn't help but be vigilant. She had never revealed that she had a multi-elemental magic soul in front of others. Now, only that Night Fox and her unconscious father Yun Songhai knew that she had a multi-elemental magic soul. How did Teacher Mary find out? Seeing Yun Sheng's vigilant expression, Teacher Mary also guessed most of it. You don't have to be nervous. I guessed it because I saw the blessing of the wind spirit on your magic scepter. Only people who had received the blessing of the elves knew how picky the elves were. Only mages who were really close to them had the chance to gain their favor. Just as Mary was about to continue asking, a burst of chaotic footsteps sounded. A few students from the fighting department and a mage with an unkind expression walked over angrily. Chapter 92. The person in the lead was Song Song, an instructor from the Magic Combat Academy. Behind him were two dispirited combat magic students. They were Songjia and the others who had been robbed clean after being taught a lesson by Yun Shang yesterday. Yun Shang had expected them to come for revenge, but she hadn't expected them to be so cowardly as to complain to her instructor. It wasn't that Songjia and the others were cowards, but that the three combat students who had bullied Goofing yesterday were from Combat Team 6. After being taught a lesson yesterday, other than the unlucky one who had been hit in the butt by a water arrow and was still bedridden in the infirmary, the other two could only go to class with disheveled hair. Who knew that when it was Song Jia's turn to practice, Song Song would find that his magic was not up to standard? Upon closer inspection, he noticed that the soul stone on Song Jia's magic scepter was missing. Song Song immediately questioned the two, only to find out that his Combat Team 6 had been taught a lesson by the Useless Potions Team 13. Since when did people from the Potioneering Department dare to bully people from the Combat Department? Song Song was famous in the academy for being narrow-minded. He was someone who would take revenge twice over. His students had been bullied, so he naturally couldn't take it lying down. Thus, he brought the two students with him and came knocking on the door. Smelly, unbearably smelly. I was wondering where the stench came from so early in the morning. So it's because someone has come knocking on our door with a foul face. Instructor Mary saw the aggressive approach and knew that it wasn't anything good. She didn't take Song Song seriously, and with a wave of her hand, her three students stepped aside. She walked up alone to confront Song Song. Mary, hand over Yunsheng and Gufeng. They were the ones who ambushed my students yesterday. Song Song had the face of a horse. Like all magicians, he was thin and weak, and had a sickly complexion due to the lack of sunlight. When he saw Mary's delicate and beautiful face, a lustful light flashed in his eyes. Attack? Song Song, your students are all idiots. Don't tell me you're as stupid as them. Do you think the Potion Department students have the ability to ambush the Combat Department students? Mary chuckled as she spoke. Her beautiful eyes wandered over Song Jia and the others. TSK, how could they be so gentle? If it were her, she would definitely burst their chrysanthemums. They would definitely be bedridden for half a month. You don't want to admit it? I knew you wouldn't admit it. Who doesn't know that your potioneering department likes to hide your heads and show your tails? Who knows what kind of despicable poison you used? Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to mount a successful sneak attack. Not only did they ambush Song Jia, they even dug out the Soul Stone and a basic magic power card from his magic scepter. If you don't hand it over, I'll report this matter to the Academy. For a magician of the Combat Department, without a Soul Stone, the power of the magic scepter was greatly reduced. Being humiliated was a small matter. What was important was the Soul Stones and the beginner magic power cards. Song Jia's family background was not bad, and his talent for cultivation was considered average. However, his family had high hopes for him and Song Xiangru, so they had secretly given Song Song many benefits. Song Song had spent a lot of effort to help Song Jia gain the upper hand in a few combat classes and obtain a basic water magic power card. Who knew that before the card could even warm up, it would be snatched away by Yun Sheng? When Mary heard this, she began to think. Due to Gufeng, Group 13's grades had always been at the bottom of the potioneering department. The group's performance points were already very low. If they were deducted at this rate, they would probably be punished by the Academy during the semester assessment. Yes, I was the one who dug out the Soul Stone. That was also because Song Jia broke Gufeng's magic scepter first. Moreover, we didn't even do anything yesterday. The magic injuries on their bodies were all caused by themselves. It's good to report it to the Academy and see who bullied who. Seeing Gufeng's sullen face, Yun Shang was afraid that this kid would ruin things, so she took the initiative to speak up. When Song Song heard this, his face became even more gloomy. In fact, he had known about this for a long time. As a master magician, how could he not know how the magic injuries on the students were caused? The magic injuries on the three of them were all caused by each other's magic. If this matter was brought to the Academy and their injuries were examined, they would not be able to defend themselves. If Song Song could see it, how could Mary not see it? Song Jia's arm had scars from fire magic, and the other kid's hair was obviously cut off by wind scythe. Humph! How can that poor kid's magic scepter be compared to Song Jie's? Moreover, you took the magic power card. Song Song also felt that he was somewhat in the wrong, but he had to get the magic power card back. However, on behalf of Minter Mary, I will not pursue the matter of the Soul Stone. However, the magic power card will follow the rules of the Academy. If there is a dispute, it will be settled through combat. If you win, the magic power card will belong to you. If you lose, we will hand over the magic power card with both hands. In the Magic Academy, private fights were not allowed. However, when there was a dispute in the Academy or in a group, the Academy allowed the dispute to be resolved through combat in order to resolve it. Regardless of the final outcome, both parties were not allowed to have any disputes. Song Song's suggestion sounded very dignified, but in reality, it was obviously malicious. Everyone knew that in terms of magic combat, the combat faculty was much better than the potioneering faculty. Take Song Jie, for example. Yesterday, they had been attacked by their own magic in the dark, and that was why they had lost their composure. If it had been a real battle, Song Song had absolute confidence that the freshman and Gufeng, who was at the bottom of the rankings, would not have had a chance of winning. Combat? Minter Mary muttered. Yes, a 2-on-1 combat. One of my students is injured, so this time, Song Jie and Qin Zhao will fight. Naturally, you will also have to send out the 2 students who had a conflict with them yesterday. Song Song was very cunning, and he simply avoided Abandon. If there was anyone in Mary's trash group, it would be Abandon, who had a ghostly aura and wore a cloak all year round. Therefore, Song Song directly picked Yunsheng and Gufeng, the 2 soft-footed shrimps. This time, the Combat Group 6 would be able to completely crush the Magic Potion Group 13. Mei Li glanced at Yunsheng and saw that not only was there no fear on her little face, she even revealed an innocent smile. For some reason, when Mary saw that smile, she felt an indescribable sense of familiarity. That's right. Every time he wanted to oppress someone, he would be like this little girl, revealing a bewildering smile. Yunsheng was a multi-elemental magician and possessed a magic scepter blessed by the elves. Hopefully, this little girl's performance would satisfy her. All right, it's settled then. Abandon. Lend your magic scepter to Gufeng. You too, you must win and must not lose. Otherwise, you will be served with the beast transformation medicine. Mei Li took a step back. Under the cloak, Qi's green eyes darkened when he saw Yunsheng's dazzling smile. He pulled out a green magic scepter and tossed it to Gufeng. Thank you Su Su, Meng, and Qing Kuang for your tips. I'll update later. Sigh, why does it feel like there's a ghost haunting me? No one is watching my feet. Chapter 93. Abandon's magic scepter was very strange. As soon as it touched Gufeng's hand, the scepter suddenly twisted and directly wrapped itself around Gufeng's hand. Gufeng only felt a chill in his hand, and his fat face immediately turned red and white. How was that a magic scepter? It was clearly a living snake. Yunsheng also saw clearly that Abandon's magic scepter was different from the rest. It was actually a smoky green scaled snake as thick as a thumb. The scaled snake's eyeballs were the same color as Abandon's. He actually used a living magic beast as a magic scepter, and it was a magic snake without any natural attributes. When they saw that magic scepter, both Song Jie and Roland shuddered. It was that magic snake scepter. Abandon's magic snake scepter was famous among all the beginner students. But in fact, among the real students, there were only a few times that they had actually seen him use the magic snake scepter. Because he was a public student, and because Abandon wore a cloak all day long, when he first arrived at the Magic Academy, there were always people bullying him in magic combat classes under various pretexts. Among them, most of them were from the magic combat department. But Abandon was different from Gufeng. After being bullied once, that kid only said, "First time." The second time was still in magic combat class. Abandon said, "The second time." The third time was also in magic combat class, and it was still that combat department student who often bullied Abandon. That time, Abandon made his move. In the presence of the combat instructor, Abandon directly used his magic scepter. The scene at that time, anyone who saw it would never forget. Abandon chanted at an astonishing speed, and his magic scepter crawled out, spitting out a cloud of green mist. In just a breath's time, that student's body turned into a pool of pus, and not even bones were left. That combat instructor didn't even have time to stop it. After that class, no one dared to bully Abandoned anymore. Teacher Mary was called over, and after being severely reprimanded, she was fined a whole year's salary. However, Abandon wasn't held responsible. Instead, the school came forward and explained the matter as a teaching accident. In the end, the matter was settled with a compensation of 10,000 purple coins. Because of this, some people secretly discussed that Chi's identity was not simple, but that was only behind his back. No one dared to offend Chi again. This was also the reason why everyone in the public student dormitory had a look of avoidance when they saw Abandoned. Miss Melly obviously knew this as well. When it came to combat, she was more worried about goofing, which was why she had asked Abandoned to lend her the magic snake staff. With the protection of the magic snake staff, Goofeng could protect himself even if he was no match for Songjia and the others. Goofeng knew his own strength, so even though he was afraid of Abandoned's magic snake staff, he still held it tightly in his hand. The two mage instructors chose the arena. To a mage, a battle was a contest of magic. Songjia and the others believed that with Song Song around, the other party would not be able to use any despicable tricks. As soon as the two parties stood still, they immediately started chanting. Songjia and the others were only halfway through their chanting when Yunsheng agilely waved her magic scepter, and a fireball exploded toward them. So fast. With the blessing of the wind spirit, Yunsheng's chanting time was much faster than ordinary mages, and the second chanting time was also very fast. She agilely waved her magic scepter, and the fireball flew in a beautiful arc. The fireball was burning fiercely, and it accurately hit Songjia with every hit. Songjia and Qin Zhao were students of the Magic Combat Department after all. The two of them had worked together many times in combat classes, and they had great chemistry. They both knew that with Goofeng's magic snake staff in hand, they would not dare to attack rashly. As long as they caught this freshman called Yunsheng, they could force Goofeng to beg for mercy. However, they didn't expect this freshman's chanting speed to be so fast. As Songjia dodged, he quickly shot out a water arrow. As the water and fire collided, the fireball was immediately extinguished. Qin Zhao saw an opening, and the wind sickle broke through the air like a crescent moon, and the cold wind approached Yunsheng. Even if Yunsheng's second chanting speed was fast, it would be too late for the two of them to attack from both sides. Yunsheng, be careful. Gu Feng held the magic snake staff in fear and trepidation. He braced himself and rushed forward, using his body to receive the wind sickle. The magic snake staff in Gu Feng's hand suddenly moved. It raised its small snake head and spat out a cloud of green fog. The color of the green fog was very similar to the wind sickle, but the moment the wind sickle entered the green fog, it immediately dispersed. The moment the green fog appeared, Goofeng's eyes flashed with poison, and a water arrow pierced into Goofeng's back. Almost at the same time, Yunsheng's second chanting was completed. Spikes emerged from the ground and pierced the back of Songjia's and Qin Zhao's legs. Their feet were immediately covered in blood. Stop! The situation of the battle suddenly changed. Song Song's expression changed drastically. He jumped up, and the magic staff in his hand emitted a yellow light. A flickering earth, elemental 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 earth, Himph. Don't think I'll let it go after you hurt someone. I'll beat up whoever comes at me. The soul stone on Yunsheng's magic staff shone brightly, and her pitch-black eyes seemed to be dyed red. A powerful fire element quickly condensed on the magic scepter. Boom! A fiery explosion was produced and exploded on the earth shield. The earth shield shook a few times and broke into pieces. Songjia and Qin Zhao, who were protected by the earth shield, were scalded by the scorching fire element and rolled on the ground. At such a critical moment, Yunsheng actually learned an intermediate fire spell, Fiery Explosion. Yunsheng had also seen her father, Yun Songhai, used the same flame explosion before. However, when Yun Songhai used it, Its power covered the sky and covered the earth. It was completely capable of burning Song and Qin into ashes. However, Yun Shang's first use of fiery explosion was effective, and it shattered Song Song's earth shield. One had to know that Song Song was a master magician. Even a beginner-level earth shield would have a great defensive effect. Song Song was embarrassed that his earth shield was shattered by a student's spell. Moreover, his 2 students were severely injured, and it seemed that they would need at least 10 days to half a month to recover. Mary, how dare you hide your student's abilities? She knows an intermediate fire spell, fiery explosion. She's not a new student. Song Song was furious and pushed all the blame on Mary for hiding the truth. Mary was also surprised, but she quickly smiled. It's not up to me to say whether she's a new student or not. It's Yun Shang's first day in my group, and I haven't even tested her basic abilities yet. How can I hide anything from her? If you have any questions, you can ask Feng Kuo. He was the one who brought her in, and he was the one who recommended her. Feng Kuo? You're saying that she was recommended by Feng Kuo? Song Song was tongue-tied when he heard Feng Kuo's name. He hesitated for a moment, then glared fiercely at Yun Shang, and left with his 2 students dejectedly. Chapter 94. After successfully using Feng Kuo's name to scare Song Song away, Mary heaved a sigh of relief. Just as she was about to put on a stern face and reprimand Yun Shang for hiding her strength, Yun Shang felt dizzy and could no longer stand. Abandon, you take Goofing to the infirmary for treatment. I'll take this little girl back to rest first. She used too much magic and should be exhausted. Mary thought about it afterwards. In the battle just now, this unknown freshman had actually used 3 attacks at once. A magic fireball, several earth spikes, and finally, a stunning flame explosion. Her incantation, under the effect of the wind spirit, was coherent. This kind of desperate fighting style was completely the style of a magic student of the combat department. It seemed that in the next battle, their potioneering department would have a chance to turn things around. Mary rejoiced as she took Yun Shang to the magic laboratory to rest. After letting Yun Shang drink a bottle of meditation water, Yun Shang felt the magic elements in her body slowly recover. Little girl, tell me honestly, how many magic souls do you have? I can conclude that you have at least a 3-elemental magic spirit. Mary's face sank. When she saw Yun Shang's magic scepter had the blessing of the wind spirit, she already suspected that Yun Shang might not be as simple as a dual elemental magician. When she saw the last flame explosion, she was even more certain of this point. Just now, she had already checked Yun Shang's magic power. She was indeed a magic warrior. For a magic warrior to be able to use mid-level magic, that could only mean that she had a powerful magic soul to rely on. The stronger the magic soul, the more likely it was to learn magic beyond one's level. Yun Shang still didn't answer. She hadn't known Mary for long, and wasn't sure if Mary was worthy of her trust. Sky Magician Yun Songhai, how is he related to you? Mei Li had a fiery temper, but Yun Shang had a calm temperament. If she didn't say anything, Mei Li could only be anxious. She suddenly changed the topic and asked about Yun Songhai's name. Upon hearing her father's name, Yun Shang's expression changed slightly. You know Yun Songhai? Your surname is also Yun. 10 years ago, Sky Magician Yun Songhai betrayed his family and left the Jade Capital with a woman of unknown origin. Since then, there has been no news of Yun Songhai in Zhou State. Are you Yun Songhai's daughter? Mei Li was very excited. She grabbed Yun Shang and looked at Yun Shang nervously. The more she looked at Yun Shang, the more she felt that she was similar to Yun Songhai. That resolute gaze, as well as the confident movements when using the flame explosion, were all so similar. He is my father. You know my father. Yun Shang was infected by Mei Li's excitement. At that moment, Mei Li seemed to have changed into a different person. Her expression quickly softened, as if she had recalled something, and a smile appeared on her lips. As expected, only Brother Yun's daughter can comprehend mid-level magic when she is only a magician. Mei Li hugged Yun Shang and cried tears of joy. After her excitement, Mei Li put away her earlier gaffe. She told Yun Shang that she was Yun Songhai's junior, and that the two of them had studied together in the Jade Capital Magic Academy. She had also been in the same group as Yun Songhai. However, at that time, The Jade Capital Magic Academy had just been established, and there was no such thing as a magic potion department and a combat department. Your father was a genius in magic. He had helped me a lot in the past. He was also the one who discovered my talent in magic potion and suggested that I change to the magic potion department. When Mei Li recalled the past, her face revealed a hint of shyness that only a young girl would have. It seemed that his drunkard father had been a popular campus hunk in the Magic Academy back in the day. Yun Sheng knew very little about her father and mother's past. Through Mei Li's narration, Yun Songhai's situation when he was young and studying was reconstructed by Mei Li. Yun Songhai was born in the residence of the Martial Saint General, but as the eldest son of the family, he had never been interested in martial arts. When he was 10 years old, he secretly enrolled in the Royal Magic Academy behind the Martial Saint General Yunba's back. At that time in Zhou State, magic was not valued as much as it was now. The news of Yun Songhai abandoning martial arts to study magic was still widely spread among the circle of nobles in the Jade Capital for a period of time. After hearing the news, Yunba was so angry that he carried a long sword and went to the Royal Magic Academy, saying that he wanted to kill this unfilial son. In the end, the dean of the Magic Academy personally came forward and tested Yun Songhai's outstanding talent in magic in front of everyone. Only then was Yunba appeased. However, ever since then, the relationship between the father and son of the Yun family was not very good. The second son of the Yun family was also strictly trained in martial arts and took the place of his elder brother on the path of martial arts. However, that was a story for later. After Yun Songhai entered the Magic Academy, his talent was revealed day by day. Especially after representing the students and participating in a few magic exchanges with the Temple of Magic, his magic cultivation increased rapidly. He also got to know some strange people who were good at innovating in the field of magic. Multi-elemental magicians could use magic staffs that had no elemental attributes, and fairies of the same attribute would only bless magicians of the same attribute. These rarely heard secrets of magic were all discovered by Yun Songhai at that time. It was also because of this that Mei Li was able to determine that Yun Sheng did not have a simple two-elemental magic soul just by looking at the magic staff. Mentor Mei Li, then what about my mother? Is she also from the Magic Academy? Compared to Yun Songhai, Yun Sheng had even fewer memories of her mother, Hu Jiusheng. All she had was the memory left behind in the beast language ring. Regarding your mother, I only know that she is very mysterious. There is also no information about which family she comes from. Your father only got to know her after he left the Royal Magic Academy. She is very likely a descendant of some ancient family. Mei Li sighed with emotion as she scrutinized Yun Sheng's face. Yun Songhai's face was handsome with strong lines. Yun Sheng's nose and eyebrows were very similar to Yun Songhai's, but softer. However, her eyes, small and exquisite facial features, as well as the way she smiled, were undoubtedly inherited from her mysterious mother. Yun Sheng might not be the type of girl who was breathtaking, but she was undoubtedly the type of girl who was more stunning the more you looked at her. Moreover, she was still young. When she grew up in the future, she would definitely be a peerless girl who would not be inferior to her mother. Yun Songhai stayed in the Jade Capital Magic Academy until he became an archmage. At that time, there were no teachers in the academy who could teach him more advanced magic. In order to seek a higher level of magic, Yun Songhai left the Jade Capital Magic Academy and went to other countries where magic was more refined, as well as the temples of various places, to visit the local magicians. It was probably at that time that he met Yun Sheng's mother. When Mei Li received news of Yun Songhai again, 10 years had already passed. That handsome and open-minded young magician had already become a sky magician who shot up like a rocket in the world of magicians. A sky magician who was not even 30 years old was extremely rare, whether in Zhou State or the entire continent. Just when everyone thought that Yun Songhai would continue on this path of genius, there was news that he cultivated dark magic and became a black magician. What? You're saying that my father is called a black magician? When Yun Sheng heard this, she could no longer hold back and exclaimed. Chapter 95. Dark magic was an existence that all magicians on the mainland abhorred. Anyone who had anything to do with dark magic, no matter how talented they were, would still fall. At that time, Some people said that Yun Songhai cultivated dark magic because he coveted higher magical powers. However, there were also people who said that Yun Songhai knew a female magician who cultivated dark magic. That magician was Yun Sheng's mother, Hu Jiusheng. I met your mother once. Mei Li's eyes twinkled. In the winter before Yun Songhai was officially recognized as a dark magician, he brought Hu Jiusheng back to the general's residence in Jade Capital to attend Yun Ba's 60th birthday. At that birthday banquet, Mei Li saw Hu Jiusheng. Even Mei Li, who was also a woman, was captivated by Hu Jiusheng's beauty at that moment. Hu Jiusheng had a rosy cheeks and a pair of pitch-black eyes that shone like the brightest stars in the dark night. Just by standing there, she stole everyone's breath and sight. However, Hu Jiusheng's gaze never stopped on anyone. She quietly stayed by Yun Songhai's side, as if Yun Songhai was the only person in the world. At that time, Yun Songhai was the happiest man in the world. However, a few days after the birthday banquet, there was suddenly news that Yun Songhai had betrayed the Yun family and escaped from Jade Capital with Hu Jiusheng. After that, no one knew about Yun Songhai anymore. Speaking of which, when your mother came to attend old General Yun's birthday banquet, she might have already had you. Mei Li had been in love with Yun Songhai for many years. She boasted that she was beautiful and had some achievements in magic potions. She thought that after meeting Yun Songhai again, she would be able to muster the courage to confess to Yun Songhai, who knew that when she saw Hu Jiusheng at the birthday banquet, she knew that she would never have the chance again. That was all Mei Li knew. Only Yun Sheng knew that after that, Yun Songhai and Hu Jiusheng went into exile. Even when Hu Jiusheng was about to give birth, there were still people chasing after her parents. Unfortunately, Mei Li did not know why Yun Songhai had fallen out with the general's residence at that time, and who was the one who chased after the couple in the end. Even so, I still don't believe that your father is a dark magician. Mary didn't expect that she would meet the daughter of an old friend, and Yun Sheng's talent in magic surprised her even more. If father knew that there were still people who believed in him, he would definitely be very gratified. Yun Sheng now thought about it. On the day she transmigrated and reincarnated, her father might have used the legendary black magic. The strength of the enemy behind the scenes was really too strong. Yun Songhai had no choice but to use the heaven-defying dark magician to kill the enemy. When Yun Sheng told Mei Li about her father's current situation, Mei Li's expression changed immediately. She immediately urged Yun Sheng to bring her to the medical hall to check on Yun Songhai's condition. Mei Li was an expert in the field of magic medicine. She might have a way to treat the poison in Yun Songhai's body. But after checking on Yun Songhai's condition, Mei Li couldn't help but shake her head. This is not a poison caused by magic. It's also not a poison that can be treated with ancient medical techniques. Yun Sheng was a little disappointed. Dr. Fan had said earlier that ordinary people had no way to treat Yun Songhai's poison. Only the top few old monsters in the Dharma Temple and the Medicine Emperor Pavilion could possibly know what kind of poison was in Yun Songhai's body. Seeing the big brother Yun in his prime become like this, Mei Li's eyes were slightly bitter. She stood beside Yun Songhai's body and said in a low voice, "Big brother Yun, don't worry. I will definitely teach Yun Sheng everything I know." After returning to the academy with Mei Li, Yun Sheng went to visit the injured Gufeng. Fortunately, Song Jie's beginner water magic was very ordinary. Gufeng had also grown a body of fat. After treatment in the medical hall, there were basically no major problems. Gufeng, in order to save your team members, you sacrificed yourself. This spirit is commendable. But as a sorcerer, using your body as a shield to protect your team members is the most foolish thing you can do. How many times have I said, "You are a sorcerer"? A sorcerer. Where did all the magic you learned in the accelerated beginner level go? Mei Li's face was full of resentment. Gufeng could only lower his head and let Mei Li's saliva fly around the top of his head. With the addition of Yun Sheng, Mei Li's 13 magical potions team was finally full. The combination of 2 males and 1 female could form a stable team. But before that, Mei Li still had to properly train these 3 people. In the first half of the year, the beginner students had to participate in the basic magic classes every day. This was arranged by the academy in order to allow the students to better understand and use the magic elements. After Yun Sheng officially entered the academy, she was given a daily schedule. On it were the four main classes that beginner students of the Magical Potions department had to learn: Meditation class, Accelerated Beginner Magic class, Basic Combat class, and Magic Potion Experiment class. Students of the Magical Combat class also had similar classes. It was just that the Experiment class had been changed to a Magic Battle class. After a year's classes were completed, the beginner students would participate in the examinations of the major classes for the final examination. As Yunshang entered the academy later than the other beginner students, most of the basic classes were already a third of the way through when she joined. In order to prevent Yunshang from not being able to keep up, Mei Li kindly arranged for Gufeng and Abandon to help Yunshang. Thus, Yunshang witnessed the so-called Abandon's tutoring method and Gufeng's tutoring method. Abandon's meditation class tutoring. Abandon. Begin. Meditation. Yunshang. Abandon. Yunshang. ZZZ1 class, a total of 1 sentence. Gufeng's tutoring method. Gufeng. Yunshang, get ready. Yunshang, get ready for what? Gufeng. The tutor is about to start the class. Prepare paper and brush. Yunshang. And then? Gufeng. Start copying. Don't miss a single word. Yunshang. 1 class, a total of countless notes. After spending a few days with Gufeng and Abandon, Yunshang completely understood how difficult it was for teacher Mei Li. As the tutor of Gufeng and Abandon, how many brain cells did she have to kill? Fortunately, Yunshang's personal learning ability was very good. Especially after she learned Yun Meng Bing Mian, her performance in the meditation class quickly received the tutor's praise. As for the basic magical combat class and the beginner magic, Yunshang had the support of the 5 elemental magic soul and quickly mastered the basic magic of each element. The only thing she hadn't taken was the magic potion experiment class. After asking around, she found out that the tutor in charge of the magic potion experiment class had taken half a year off, and the magic potion experiment class for the beginner students had to be delayed for a while. Finally, it was public day, and there were no classes in school. Yunshang planned to return to the medical center to see her father and help Dr. Fan with the medical center, but a public student who wasn't very familiar with Yunshang stopped her. Yunshang, you're in charge of the public herb field, right? The herbs are dying. Hurry up and take a look. Chapter 96. Yunshang had obviously forgotten something important. That incident was that she had entered the Royal Magic Academy as a public student. The so-called public students were equivalent to the modern-day work-study students. On weekdays, they would attend classes normally, but on weekends, they would have to serve the school. Gufeng and Abandon were also public students. Gufeng seemed to be teacher Mei Li's assistant. As for Abandon, she had not heard of him doing anything for the academy, but he seemed to be very busy. It was no wonder that the two of them disappeared on the weekends. Yunshang's part-time job was to help the academy take care of the public herb fields. Jade Capital Magic Academy was built in the middle of a valley. It was comfortable all year round, and the public herb fields here were also very lush. The herbs in the public herb fields were mainly used by the academy's potioneering department and the infirmary. The remaining part was sold to the public, and the income was used to pay for the tuition and miscellaneous expenses of the public students. Until she arrived in front of the public herb fields, Yunshang thought that the so-called herb fields were at most similar to the ones in Banana Leaf Village, a few mu or a few tens of mu. But when she really stood in front of the public herb fields, she realized that she was very wrong. Up close, it was a field. From afar, it was still a field. Horizontally, it was a field. Vertically, it was still a field. As far as the eye could see, it was all fields. The herb fields of Jade Capital Magic Academy could be called vast. Yunshang roughly estimated that the herb fields were at least 500 to 600 mu. Yunshang finally understood why there was a vacancy in the Royal Academy's potioneering department for public students who were responsible for looking after the public herb fields. In fact, before Yunshang came, this position had been empty for 5 years. During this time, the public students in the dormitory took turns to look after the fields. Now that there was finally a sucker, no one in the dormitory was willing to come. She was quickly informed that she needed to water all the herb fields in 2 days to prevent the herbs from withering. Looking at the vast expanse of herb fields, Yunshang suddenly felt that life was indeed tough. Yunsheng sighs and starts to clean up the public medicine field. In the dark, a pair of sneaky eyes were spying on Yunsheng. Very quickly, the owner of the pair of thieving eyes returned to the combat department and finally circled into a room labeled as the Combat Association. That person reported the details of Yunsheng's trip to the public medicinal field to a female student who was about 11 or 12 years old. The female student was beautiful and wore an exquisitely crafted mage robe. Her magic scepter was embedded with 2 magic soul stones. An 11 or 12-year-old great magus, this female student was already a mid-level student. As she listened, a magical element shot out from the magic scepter in her hand. The magical light illuminated her face and made her look even more radiant. Senior Song, according to your instructions, I've been keeping an eye on the public student named Yunsheng. Also, she has already bribed some of the public students. No one will help her take care of the public herb fields. The lookout was a wind magician from the combat department. That damned public student, relying on Feng Kuo and Mei Li's support to be so arrogant. She beat up my precious little brother to such a state. The one who spoke was Song Xiangru, Song Jie's elder sister who had been taught a lesson by Yunsheng for the second time. The Song siblings were the children of the assistant minister of Zhou State's Ministry of Works. When the two were young, they were discovered to be able to sense magical elements, so they were both sent to the Imperial Magic Academy. The elder sister, Song Xiangru, was more talented. After 6 years of school, she became a mid-level student and had just passed the Great Magus examination in the temple last month. Song Xiangru only had one younger brother, Song Jie, and the two siblings were usually very close. A few days ago, Song Jie had been taught a lesson, and even his magic scepter had been destroyed. When Song Xiangru found out, she wanted to teach the potions department's new student a lesson on the spot. However, after asking around, she found out that the potions department's new student's background was not simple. Not only did he come in halfway, she heard that he was personally recommended by the combat instructor, Feng Kuo. Everyone in the Magic Academy knew of Feng Kuo's name, and Song Xiangru herself had attended his combat class. That bear-like man was terrifyingly strong, whether it was combat skills or magical combat skills. He could cast 3 spells in an instant and directly turn a huge rock into powder. He had a violent personality, and even the teachers in the academy did not respect him. Thus, after Cao Song found out about Yunsheng's background, he turned and left. As a result, Song Xiangru lost the opportunity to directly take revenge on Yunsheng. In the Magic Academy, cross-level combat was not prohibited, but it was only allowed for low-level students to challenge mid-level students. Mid-level students were not allowed to directly challenge low-level students. Otherwise, if the academy found out, they would immediately be expelled from the academy. After thinking hard, Song Xiangru suddenly thought that she could tamper with Yunsheng's status as a public student. The Magic Academy's rules were strict, and for public students, the Academy's rules were also clearly stated that they had to maintain good grades in their magic classes and complete the work-study tasks arranged by the Academy. Otherwise, they would be expelled from the Academy. As long as Yunsheng was expelled from the Royal Magic Academy and out of the sight of Feng Kuo and Mei Li, Song Xiangru had 1,000 ways to make Yunsheng disappear completely. Song Xiangru secretly bribed the other members of the public student dormitory and threw a few hundred mu of medicinal fields to Yunsheng. She was sure that Yunsheng would not be able to water all the medicinal fields in 2 days. Not to mention that Yunsheng was not a water-type sorcerer. Even if she was, how many times would she have to cast the cloud-gathering spell to successfully water so many medicinal fields? When she thought of how Yunsheng would be expelled from the Magic Academy after the weekend, Song Xiangru was elated. "Ruru, what are you so happy about?" A sweet female voice interrupted the conversation between Song Xiangru and the scout. A female student dressed in blue walked in. Song Xiangru's looks were already considered top-notch, but compared to this girl dressed in blue, she was like a star meeting the moon. She immediately paled in comparison. Seeing the girl dressed in blue, a hint of jealousy appeared on Song Xiangru's face. However, she quickly concealed her jealousy and did not let Qin Lianer discover it. She changed into a fawning tone and said, "Lianer, I see that you are the one who is happy. What good thing happened to make you so happy?" The person who came was the vice president of the Royal Magic Academy's Combat Association. At the same time, she was also Zhou State's first-rank imperial court official's favorite granddaughter, Chun Lianer, a great water-type sorcerer. I received news from the crown prince. He is returning to the Jade capital. Chun Lianer's clothes fluttered in the wind, making her look like a fairy. Her face was full of joy as she told Song Xiangru this good news. Chapter 97. The Crown Prince is coming back? Song Xiangru had a strange expression as she looked at Chun Lianer with a bit of contempt. Yi Balian, the current Crown Prince of Zhou State and the most beloved son of the Zhou State Emperor. At the same time, he was the president of the Royal Magic Academy's Combat Association and a 12-year-old pinnacle great magician. The reason why the Magic Combat Association was so influential in the Royal Magic Academy was partly because the president of the Magic Combat Association was the current Crown Prince and Chen Lianer was the vice president of the Crown Princess. The Emperor of Zhou State was in his prime and had many imperial concubines. He also had many princes and princesses. Among them, the Crown Prince Yi Balian was the most favored. His mother was the daughter of the current imperial cabinet minister. His mother's family had a strong background and was deeply favored by the Emperor of Zhou State. However, those who knew the secrets of the palace knew that Yi Balian wasn't the crown prince at birth. Yi Balian was the second prince, but the real crown prince was the first prince, Yi Baiming, who had been dethroned many years ago. After the tragedy in the palace, the original crown prince Yi Baiming was deposed and imprisoned by the Emperor of Zhou State. The second prince Yi Balian was crowned crown prince by a group of civil officials. It was also at that time that Chen Lianer, who was originally chosen as the crown princess, abandoned her childhood playmate Yi Baiming without hesitation. Under the matchmaking of Grand Secretary Chun, she and Yi Baiming quickly became the golden couple that everyone envied. It was said that after the former crown prince Yi Baiming was deposed, he was imprisoned in the cold palace in the name of recuperating. It was only a few months ago that the former crown prince, Yi Baiming, joined the Wuxuan Infinity School under the request of the deputy head of the Wuxuan Limitless School to practice martial arts. Only then did the former crown prince return to the eyes of the citizens of the great Zhou dynasty. Chun Lianer and Song Xiangru, including a few people, naturally knew about this news. Song Xiangru originally thought that Chun Lianer would be a bit emotional, but who knew that she acted as if nothing had happened. What a heartless woman. While Song Xiangru's father was part of the civil official faction that supported the crown prince, she had inherited some of her father's style and looked down on Chen Lianer from the bottom of her heart. However, because the other was powerful and was the future crown princess, she agreed on the surface. Chun Lianer was so immersed in her own joy that she didn't notice the disdain on her friend's face. This year's year-end examinations for the combat and potions faculties might be a little tricky. Song Xiangru thought of something. The year-end assessment was a tradition of the Academy of Magic. Every year, there would be a comprehensive assessment for the students at the end of the year. The competition between the combat and potions departments was also the fiercest at that time. Potion department? Ruru, when did you become afraid of even the magic potion department? Chen Lian, her stopped acting like a little girl, her face full of contempt. Perhaps Shangjing Magic Academy was nothing compared to other magic academies, but within the academy, the position of the fighting department was absolutely unshakable. The potioneering department was filled with crappy mages who only knew how to use despicable tricks. If she remembered correctly, the potioneering department didn't even have a few decent intermediate students. This year's situation might be a little uncertain. A poison man has appeared in the potioneering department. Song Xiangru's face was cautious. My younger brother Song Jia was defeated by a new earth and fire department mage. Song Xiangru originally didn't put the potioneering department in her eyes, but the things that happened in the past few days really caught her off guard. I've also heard about that poison man, but I heard that kid is very antisocial, so don't worry about him. As for the new mage, I haven't heard of her. I remember that your brother Song Jia's magic is barely passable. How come he can't even take care of a new student? Chun Lian's sarcastic tone made Song Xiangru very dissatisfied, but she still smiled. That new student isn't simple. I heard that she used an intermediate fire magic flame explosion in the end. Even Minter Song's earth shield was shattered by her. Even Chun Lian couldn't use intermediate magic as a beginner. Intermediate magic? Is this news true? If it's reliable, then this person definitely can't stay in the potioneering department. Chunlian changed her delicate and lovely appearance from before. She was now the vice president of the Magic Combat Association. In the Magic Academy, any student who could shake the Magic Combat Association's position had to either join the association or be eliminated. It's true. My brother saw it with his own eyes. Furthermore, her singing ability is also very outstanding. Song Xiangru's face was full of resentment. If that's the case, then I, as the vice president, will go and meet her. If possible, I'll pull her into the Magic Combat Association. But if she doesn't agree... Chunlian smiled sweetly, but it made people's hair stand on end. Chunlian was such a person. She looked very harmless and weak on the outside, but there was a sense of insidiousness in her bones. Yunsheng still didn't know that she had become the Magic Combat Association's target for no reason. Right now, she was still looking at the hundreds of acres of herb fields, thinking about how to irrigate them. Fortunately, she was now a mage and no longer needed to carry water to irrigate the fields like before. She only needed to use the water magic cloud gathering technique that she had learned in the elementary magic class. The so-called cloud gathering technique was to use the water vapor in the environment to form a small moving cloud. Yunsheng was known to the public as an earth and fire mage, so no one knew that she could use the cloud gathering technique. Little Cloud irrigated the herb fields. Yunsheng only needed to direct Little Cloud's movements to irrigate all the fields. One of the biggest benefits of entering the Royal Magic Academy was that one could learn all kinds of elementary magic during the basic magic classes. During the elementary magic classes, they would teach all kinds of elementary magic. These elementary magic were different from the combat magic that Yunsheng knew. Most of them couldn't be used to repel enemies, but they were very convenient to use in daily life. For example, the water cleansing spell, the fire illumination spell, the wind dust removal spell, and so on. Most people didn't care about these elementary magic, because it was already very difficult for everyone to learn elementary magic that was compatible with their own elementary magic. However, Yunsheng was different. Other than her dark magic spirit, she also had an all-elemental nature magic spirit. Learning all kinds of elementary magic was a piece of cake for her. This was especially true for the various types of small magic spells that didn't consume much magic elements. The more she used these small magic spells, the better her ability to control the various elements. When she was meditating, she could feel that her magic soul was becoming stronger little by little. Occasionally, she would try out the cloud gathering technique, then immediately use the cloud dream eye sleep to meditate for a while to replenish her elementary magic. By sunset, the hundreds of acres of land had been properly irrigated. Tomorrow, I'll use the earth thorns to cultivate the soil. Using elementary magic repeatedly will help increase my proficiency in elementary magic. After a day, Yunsheng was already very familiar with the cloud gathering technique. Just as she was about to leave the public herb fields, under the setting sun, two beautiful senior female students walked over. The two of them looked at Yunsheng's dirty face with disdain. The disdain in their eyes was very obvious. The two of them were dressed like rich girls. The more beautiful girl used an arrogant tone to ask, "You are Yunsheng? I am the vice president of the Magic Combat Association, Chunlianer. I want you to join the Magic Combat Association." Chapter 98. The girl who asked the question had an arrogant tone. She was young, but already had a face that could topple cities. However, even though she was beautiful, when she spoke, she raised her head and pointed her nose at others, just like a female peacock. She used a very commanding tone, which made Yunsheng feel disgusted when she heard it. Both of them were intermediate students of the Royal Magic Academy. Yunsheng had only been in school for a week, so how could she have offended an intermediate student? Yunsheng quickly realized that it was most likely because of her fight with Song Jie. She heard that Song Jie had an older sister, so it must be one of them. "I'm asking you a question. Are you mute?" The female student who accompanied her saw that Yunsheng was only looking at them without speaking and scolded her fiercely. If Qinlianer hadn't insisted on persuading the freshman to join the combat association, she wouldn't have even bothered to come. "You think I'll answer just because you asked? Who do you think you are? Jade Emperor, Queen Mother, Bodhisattva Guanyin, Combat Association, right? 3 words. I'm not interested. Yun Shang disliked this kind of bitch who thought that she was the #1 queen in the world, and that both men and women should kneel on the ground and lick their toes. Chen Lianer and Song Xiangru didn't understand what Yun Shang was saying, and they didn't think that a freshman would dare to go against their wishes. Yun Shang finished speaking and turned to leave. A biting cold water arrow shot out from the ground. If Yun Shang hadn't dodged quickly enough, she would have been hit. A water elemental magician. Yun Shang frowned when she caught sight of the water elemental magic beside the female student. Among the 4 elements, fire and earth were the strongest in terms of attack and defense. However, it would be a big mistake to say that water and wind elemental magic were useless. This female student could shoot water arrows with a wave of her hand. She had already mastered the water elemental magic. Yun Shang wasn't afraid of a head-on confrontation, but she didn't want to reveal her true strength. I am the vice president of the Royal Magic Academy's Combat Association, Chen Lianer. Freshman, you'd better know your place. The Combat Association rarely accepts students from the Magic Potion Department, much less an invitation from this vice president. Chen Lianer was a queen-level figure in the academy that everyone sought after. Her tone already carried a warning. Unfortunately, Yun Shang was really an ignorant and tactful person. Her previous impression of the combat department was too bad. I've already made it very clear that I'm not interested in the Combat Association, Yun Shang said. With a light leap, she landed in a medicinal field. You're courting death. Chen Lianer was infuriated. She had already gathered water element in her palm. Vice President Chen, it's best if you consider this carefully. The grass under my feet is a rare grade 100 frost grass. If you want to teach me a lesson, these grasses will also suffer. At that time, if the academy blames you, you won't be able to gain anything. Yun Shang glanced at the grasses beside her and warned. She wouldn't do something as stupid as hitting a rock with an egg. Chen Lianer was very cunning. She had always been a good student in front of the academy's teachers. She definitely wouldn't ruin her good reputation for a magic potion department freshman. Her expression changed very quickly. Her anger was immediately replaced by a charming smile. I was only joking with you. Why would I bully a freshman? You can reconsider. The Combat Association welcomes you at any time. Chen Lianer finished speaking and gave Song Xiangru a look. Holding hands, they left. They hadn't gone far when Chen Lianer's face darkened. You ungrateful brat. You dare to disobey me? I'll make sure you lose your footing in the Magic Academy. Lianer, I've said it before. That freshman isn't worth roping in. But don't worry, we can't directly teach her a lesson in the academy. I've already found someone to leave the public medicinal field to her alone. She can't take care of so many fields by herself. She won't be able to last long, Song Xiangru said contentedly. You're sure she won't be able to last long? Chen Lianer's acuity was far beyond Song Xiangru's. She had already noticed that the medicinal field was wet, and the mud had stained the boots she had just bought. To be able to water such a large medicinal field in such a short period of time, even she would not be able to do it. Song Xiangru then noticed that the public medicinal field had already been watered. How can it be? Just by this brat? Someone must be helping her. The news from the Academic Affairs Office clearly said that the freshman was only an earth and fire mage. It's impossible for her to be proficient in water magic. Song Xiangru looked around and found that the medicinal field had already been watered. Maybe her teacher helped her. But Teacher Mary doesn't seem to be proficient in water magic either. Chen Lianer gazed at the freshly watered medicinal field that was emitting an earthy fragrance. Since we're going to do it, we'll do it to the extreme. Make sure she has no way to turn the tables. Chen Lianer's beautiful face revealed a trace of ferocity. After Chen Lianer and the others left, Yun Shang stayed in the medicinal field for a while. It was only when dusk had deepened that Gu Feng came to find her. Wow, Yun Shang, you're taking care of such a large public medicinal field by yourself? Why? Are you worried that you can't take care of so many medicinal fields by yourself? I can help you. When Gu Feng arrived, Yun Shang was standing in the medicinal field. Her brows were tightly knitted, and she had a thoughtful expression on her face. Chen Lianer came by just now, Yun Shang said. Chen Lianer, you're talking about the vice president of the Combat Association? Oh no, It must be because of Song Jie. His sister Song Xiangru is one of the main members of the Combat Association. Did they do anything to you? Gufeng was shocked when he heard this. The Combat Association had a great influence in the Magic Academy. Now that she was targeted, Yunshang's future days would be difficult. She didn't do anything to me, but that might not be the case next time. Qinlianer's appearance made Yunshang realize that her strength was far from enough. If she didn't quickly become stronger, she was bound to become the second Gufeng. Should we tell Teacher Mary? Gufeng was fearful. No need, the other party isn't stupid. They definitely won't do anything to us in public. Yunshang believed that Qinlianer could become the vice president of the Combat Association not just because of her beauty. Gufeng, you entered the academy early. Do you know how to improve your magic in a short period of time? The faster the better. In order to compete with Qinlianer, Yunshang had to ensure that she was proficient in at least one type of intermediate magic. From the looks of it, she was most confident in fire magic. I know that. You can enter the Central Magic Tower. I heard from others. Practicing in the Central Magic Tower. The speed of practicing magic will be at least several times faster, even several dozen times faster. Intermediate students like Qinlianer, they usually practice in the Central Magic Tower, Gufeng said with an envious expression. Chapter 99. Hearing Gufeng's words, Yunshang immediately recalled the tower she had seen on the first day she had entered the academy, in the central square of the Magic Academy. That was the Central Magic Tower. Seeing that Yunshang was interested in the Magic Tower, Gufeng excitedly began to explain. As he spoke, he brought Yunshang to the Academy's plaza. Through Gufeng's explanation, Yunshang found out that the Central Magic Tower was not built for the Royal Magic Academy. The Central Magic Tower, more accurately, was an ancient magical ruin. On the boundless continent, there were many large countries, and most of their territories had already been divided. But there were still some places that the country's army could not conquer, and those places were called ancient ruins. There were many types of ancient ruins, and there were many types of ruins. Sometimes it was a vast plain, sometimes it was a dense forest, but it could also be an ancient building. Most of the ancient ruins had restrictions on the outside that were difficult for ordinary people to cross. Only the strongest warriors, magicians, or summoners could break through the restrictions and enter the ancient ruins. But as long as one entered the ancient ruins and successfully came out, they would reap extraordinary rewards. They might have obtained powerful battle techniques passed down from ancient times, or they might have comprehended ancient magic that had been lost for a long time, or they might even have gained the favor of ancient mythical beasts. So even though the ancient ruins were extremely dangerous, there were still countless adventurers who dared to take the risk. But the ancient ruins were not so easy to discover. There were only a few maps of the ancient ruins on the continent, and they were all in the hands of large countries, aristocratic families, and even mysterious organizations. Ordinary people would not be able to touch them. But for the students of the Royal Magic Academy, they did not need to enter the ancient ruins to enjoy the benefits of the ancient ruins. The reason was the Central Magic Tower. Speaking of the Central Magic Tower, there was a legendary figure. That was the founder of the academy and the only saint-level Guardian King in Zhou State, Guardian King Lan Yin. This Mana Tower was brought back by Shakyamuni Lannin when he entered an ancient ruin. Zhou State's magic was not flourishing, and in the many years since the founding of the country, there had only been one Guardian King. To every student of the Magic Academy, Guardian King Lan Yin was a godlike existence. Bring back a pagoda? What kind of concept was this? Even with a storage ring like the Beast Language Ring, it was impossible to achieve this. As if he already knew that Yunshang would not believe him, Gufeng continued. It turned out that every law emperor on the continent would comprehend a special type of supreme magic. The supreme magic that Shakyamuni Lan comprehended was a type of space-time magic that could fold space. Back then, the Guardian King had used this kind of supreme magic to bring the Central Magic Tower back. After Lannin's death, he gifted this tower to the Royal Magic Academy. After several generations of maintenance, the Central Magic Tower became a landmark of the Royal Magic Academy. How could there be such a miraculous spell? Yunsheng was exposed to a more comprehensive system of magic during the elementary magic course. The magic she knew was not limited to the elementary, junior high, and high school magic. Above high-level magic, there were sacred-level magic, supreme magic, and miraculous magic. It was said that after practicing miraculous magic, one could even reverse the flow of time. However, these were too far away for Yunsheng and Gufeng now. They were just sorcerers who had not even mastered elementary magic. It's a pity. I never had the chance to enter the central magic tower. I don't know what the magic tower looks like. Everything I know is just what I heard from others, Gufeng stuttered as he scratched his head. For most public students, entering the central magic tower to practice was an extravagant hope. To enter the magic tower, one needed a magic card. To obtain a magic card, one had to rely on one's performance in class and the results of various faculties' combat to exchange for the corresponding magic card. In the royal school, there were 3 types of magic cards. The first type was the elementary magic card, with a maximum of 5 points. The second type was the intermediate magic card, with a maximum of 20 points. The third type was the advanced magic card that was held by the tutors, and only the outstanding students in each year's assessment could obtain, with a maximum of 50 points. The last type was the supreme magic card, which could only be obtained by making a special contribution to the school. There was no limit to the number of times it could be used. Magic power cards were not rare among the intermediate students, but for the junior students, especially the public students, due to their ordinary family background, even if they were talented, due to the lack of various quality resources, they would lose at the starting line to the aristocratic students in the academy, let alone win against those aristocratic students. Gufeng himself, because of his poor performance in magic combat, had never been able to obtain a magic card. As for Abandon, although he had the ability to do so, however, because he had killed his opponent in a teaching accident, although this matter had been resolved by the school, the Academic Affairs Office had forcibly deprived Abandon of the opportunity to enter the magic tower for a year. Therefore, before Yunsheng joined, the 13 Magic Potions group had never obtained a chance to enter the magic tower. Perhaps you will have this opportunity very soon. You forgot. I have a magic card. Yunsheng took out the magic card that she had won from Songjie. After obtaining that victory, according to the previous agreement, Yunsheng had already become the owner of this magic card. Yunsheng had obtained a full elementary magic card from Songjie. It was the magic card that Songjie had exchanged with his achievements for the past 2 months. There should be 5 magic points in it. With the mana card, Yunsheng could train in the mana tower. With the mana card, Yunsheng would be able to train in the mana tower. With so many mana cards, training in magic would undoubtedly be a shortcut. Gufeng was overjoyed. He did not expect that there would be someone in the 13 Magic Potions group who had the opportunity to enter the magic tower. It's us. You forgot. You also contributed to this card. Yunsheng still remembered that Gufeng had blocked the arrow for her. Although this kid was timid and weak, he was still quite manly at that moment. No. Magic card can only be used by one person. Besides, it was mainly your contribution that day. As long as I didn't drag you down, it's already good enough. Gufeng was embarrassed. He understood that Yunsheng's magic talent was much higher than his. An elementary magic card could only be used for 5 hours. Gufeng would rather Yunsheng make the most of this 5 hours than waste the precious magic card on himself. Gufeng, this kid, was still belittling himself. His light magic talent had not really been stimulated. Yunsheng did not force it. She made up her mind that next time, as long as there was a chance, she would definitely win a magic card for Gufeng. After knowing the possible benefits that the magic tower could bring to magic practice, Yunsheng was already eager to give it a try. On Sunday morning, she used the earth thorns to cultivate the soil in the public herb field. In the afternoon, she could not wait to bring the magic card to the magic tower. Chapter 100. Yunsheng, Junior Student, Potioneering Mage, Magic Power Card, 5 points. You can choose to use it for 5 hours or 1 hour at a time. Please note that the Magic Power Card is calculated as a whole number, and the odd number is not reserved. The Magic Tower's guardian was an old magician with a withered face. The old magician's age was unknown. He used his turbid eyes to size up Yunsheng and read the information on the magic power card. "I'll cultivate for an hour first." Yunsheng came to the magic tower for the first time, so she didn't know the specifics of cultivation and the effects of cultivation. For the sake of safety, she decided to cultivate for an hour first. The old magician immediately handed her a magic crystal key labeled 204. He reminded Yunsheng that after an hour, she only needed to crush the magic crystal key and she would be automatically sent back here. The magic tower was a 6-story tower building. Each floor had a total of 13 magic spaces. Each magic space seemed to be adjacent to each other, but in fact, it was completely independent. The students could use any magic or meditate in the magic space, and the outside world would never know. In the magic tower, junior students could use the 1st to 2nd floors, intermediate students could use the 3rd to 4th floors, and the 5th and 6th floors were only used by mentors and master magicians. Yunsheng walked up the stairs. Along the way, she met a few beginner students from the combat department. When they saw a beginner student from the potion department enter the magic tower to train, they all curled their lips in disdain. Yunsheng ignored them and went straight to the 4th magic space on the 2nd floor. She opened the door. In the magic space, various colors of magic elements streaked across the surroundings. It was like a clear night sky with countless meteors flashing in the starry sky. Yunsheng couldn't help but secretly sigh. It was worthy of being called the magic tower of the ancient ruins. The magic elements here were at least several times more than the outside world. Meditating in such an environment was bound to be able to obtain more magic elements. Just as Yunsheng was about to sit down and meditate, she suddenly felt the magic soul in her body become restless. The magic elements that were originally floating by the side also changed. The multicolored magic elements seemed to have been cast by someone and instantly stopped moving. User of Magic Space 204, you have a 5-elemental magic soul and meet the requirements to open the restriction of the magic tower. Once the restriction is activated, your magic cultivation will be increased by 5 times. If the time in the outside world does not change, you will obtain 5 times the cultivation time. In a situation where the time in the outside world was inconvenient, he could obtain 5 times the time. In other words, the flow of time and magic elements in room 204 had been slowed down. Yunsheng would have an additional 4 hours of magic cultivation time, but from the outside, only 1 hour had passed. But what was the deal with the restriction in the magic tower? Obviously, the owner of the magic tower, Lan Yin, not only brought the magic tower back to the Magic Academy, he should also have added an additional restriction in the magic tower. And this kind of magic would only be activated when there was a special student. Without wasting any more time, Yunsheng sat down cross-legged and used Yunsheng's Dream of Ice. In the space, the 4 magic elements were quickly absorbed into Yunsheng's body. Her body thoroughly entered a state of deep meditation. All the disturbances in the outside world disappeared. When the restriction in the magic tower was activated, the withered old magician who was waiting inside the magic tower moved his eyelids. He seemed to be talking to himself. The restriction has been activated? Multi-elemental magic has appeared in the Magic Academy again? Not long after Yunsheng entered the magic tower, a few sneaky figures appeared next to the public herb field under the scorching sun. After about 15 minutes, the figures left. 4.5 hours had passed. The magic elements in room 204 were mostly absorbed by Yunsheng. But in another 12 hours, the magic elements in the magic tower would be restored again. This cycle would continue endlessly. In the process of meditation, Yunsheng's orc speech ring on her finger had also absorbed a large amount of magic elements. Cultivating in the magic tower, even the puffed egg in the summoning ring benefited a lot. Yunsheng slowly exhaled and moved her stiff body. She was pleasantly surprised to find that her wind, fire, earth, and water magic spirits had all improved to a certain extent. Only the black magic spirit, which represented the dark element, did not have any changes. Yunsheng waved her magic scepter, and a large number of earth spikes drilled out of the ground. Then, she cast a fireball spell. The fireball's lethality was much greater than before. I don't feel tired after using magic twice in a row. It seems that my control over the 4 elements has improved a lot. Yunsheng believed that if this continued, she would soon break through to become an archmage. It was a pity that she did not have enough magic cards. Otherwise, her cultivation would definitely speed up, and she would not have to be afraid of Qinlianer and the others in the future. Yunsheng thought that maybe she should think of some ways to obtain more magic cards. Noticing that the orc's speech ring had also undergone a certain change, Yunsheng summoned the puffed egg. As soon as the puffed egg was summoned, Puffed Egg was very excited. Puffed Egg, it's an ancient ruin. Dear Master, Puffed Egg loves the smell here. There's the smell of home here. Can you leave Puffed Egg here? The smell of home? Could it be that the Puffed Egg had been to other ancient ruins, or was it originally living in an ancient ruin? The Puffed Egg was left behind by Yunsheng's mother. It was very mysterious. Yunsheng also tried to ask the Puffed Egg about its origins, but the Puffed Egg itself could not remember. This was also the first time that the Puffed Egg recalled memories related to its past. You are my beast. If you are discovered, the fact that I am a summoner will be exposed, Yunsheng said with a straight face. Puffed Egg, you won't be discovered. Puffed Egg can disappear. The Puffed Egg begged pitifully. The egg emitted a 5-colored light, and in the light, its round body gradually disappeared. If it were not for the fact that Yunsheng and the Puffed Egg were telepathic, Yunsheng would have thought that the Puffed Egg had disappeared. Invisibility. The Puffed Egg had this kind of ability? Yunsheng thought for a moment and decided to keep Egg Popo by her side. Every time she meditated, some of the magical elements would be devoured by Egg Popo. If she left Egg Popo in the magic tower, where there was an abundance of magical elements, not only would it be helpful for Egg Popo's cultivation, but it would also relieve the pressure on her own mana consumption. Puffed Egg, then you have to promise that you will obediently stay in the magic tower until the next time I come to the magic tower. You can't be discovered, otherwise I will cancel the contract with you. Hearing that Yunsheng wanted to cancel the contract, the Puffed Egg immediately became obedient. Hour was almost up. Yunsheng crushed the magic crystal key and left Magic Space 204. Chapter 101. It was only afternoon when they left the magic tower. Yunsheng met Gufeng on the way. Yunsheng concealed the matter of the first layer of restriction and roughly explained the situation in the magic tower. Are you interested in Mintermary's magic laboratory to see me concoct magic potions? Gufeng was happy for Yunsheng. He stole a glance at her and very embarrassedly extended an invitation to Yunsheng. Gufeng was also a public student, but he was only responsible for helping Mintermary concoct magic potions on weekdays. Yunsheng had not started her potions class yet. Because she was studying ancient medicine, she also had a certain interest in magic potions. Yunsheng thought about it. The matter of the public medicine field was almost done. She also had nothing to do in the afternoon, so it would be good to see how magic potions were concocted together with Gufeng. The teachers of the magic potions department all had their own magic potions laboratory, and Gufeng was Mintermary's assistant. Mintermary was not there. The laboratory was about half the size of a public student's dormitory, and various materials for concocting magic potions were displayed inside. Yunsheng took a look and discovered that the concocting of magic potions was actually similar to that of ancient medicine. However, the concocting of magic potions required the use of magical elements, which sounded more like the alchemy of the Middle Ages. There was also a wide variety of magical materials, from various magical ores, magical beast soul stones, animal hides, animal bones, and various magical herbs. It was hard to imagine that all kinds of magic potions were made from these materials. I can concoct beginner agility potions and antidote potions. Gufeng smiled foolishly. Magic potions were the only skills he could bring to the table. Gufeng also relied on selling basic magic potions like agility potions and antidote potions to earn his daily living expenses. Generally speaking, as a mage, relying on his own magical power, he could concoct at most 2 bottles of magic potions a day. Mintermary's task for Gufeng was to concoct 1 bottle of agility potion and 1 bottle of antidote potion a day. Teacher Mary had put a lot of thought into this. She had refined a potion that could increase a person's perception and control of magical elements. It was especially important for students of the potion department. Let me try. Yunsheng was also very interested in refining magic potions. Yunsheng chose to refine the water of agility. Yunsheng checked the refining method of the agility potion. As she had studied Western medicine in the medical university, Yunsheng had already calculated the ratio of different materials in her mind as soon as she saw the formula, as well as the possible consumption of magical elements during the refining process. After that, Yunsheng found a few more materials among the materials that Mary had discarded. She began to extract the remaining elements from the materials. Then, she added the appropriate amount of water element to control the size of the fire element. She used the wind element to regulate the fusion of the magic potion and the earth element as the final stabilizer. During the refining process, a golden light flashed in Yunsheng's eyes from time to time. At her fingertips, several different colors of magical elements were freely fusing and changing. Gu Feng, who was watching from the side, was dumbfounded. He only felt that Yunsheng, who was refining the magic medicine, was so eye-catching that his eyeballs were about to fall out. Done. In less than a quarter of an hour, a bottle of orange potion appeared in Yunsheng's hand. Heavens, it's really orange. It's actually orange. Orange agility potion. That's a mid-grade agility potion. Gu Feng was dumbfounded. This was too miraculous. This was Yunsheng's first time refining a magic potion. Even if it was the same agility potion, it was divided into different grades. The market price also differed greatly. The color of the magic potion determined the potion's effect. A blue magic potion was a beginner's magic potion, a mid-grade magic potion was orange, and a high-grade magic potion was red. The color of the magic potion in Yunsheng's hand was as pure as the warm winter sun. It was orange without the slightest impurity. With Gu Feng's eyesight after following Mary for more than half a month, it must be a mid-grade agility potion. A beginner's agility potion could allow a person to maintain agility for 5 minutes. A mid-grade magic potion could maintain agility for 10 minutes, and a high-grade magic potion could maintain agility for 15 minutes. If this were to flow into the market, who knew how many people would rush to buy it? It really is a mid-grade agility potion. It's too amazing. Yunsheng, you're really godly. Gu Feng looked carefully and suddenly swallowed his saliva. It seemed that Mary had said that the probability of an ordinary magician refining a mid-grade magic potion was about 1 in 1,000. Hee, I was just trying my luck. I also didn't think that I would be able to refine a mid-grade potion. Yunsheng attributed the reason why she was able to refine a mid-grade potion to the combination of Shin Nong's pupil and trillium hand. In addition to her 5 elemental spirit, her sensitivity towards magic elements was extraordinary. Her ability to control fire was also first class. With the combination of these factors, she was able to successfully refine a mid-grade potion in one go. If later, Mary sees this, she will definitely be overjoyed. Gu Feng was unable to part with the bottle of agility potion. He carefully held it, afraid that he would spill even a little bit. No, this bottle of agility potion is not for Mary. We are going to take it out to sell. Yunsheng blinked her eyes. How can this be? This is a potion from the laboratory. Gu Feng was an honest person. In the 2 months that he had been working under Mary, he had never done such a thing. We only used the discarded materials here. They were originally all waste materials that were going to be thrown away. If you feel apologetic, we can buy some new materials back. Yunsheng advised Gu Feng. It's better not too big. Gu Feng stared pitifully at the bottle of mid-grade magic potion. Think about it. With this, how many silver coins or even magic cards can we exchange for? Don't tell me you don't want to enter the magic card to experience it? Yunsheng strongly felt that she was like a wolf grandmother who was holding a poisoned apple to lure Little Red Riding Hood. She had no other choice. If they followed the normal routine, she was afraid that she and Gu Feng, these 2 public students, would not be able to save up a magic card in a year. If they could use the discarded magic materials to refine high-quality or even mid-grade magic potions, it would be a good deal. In her opinion, Gu Feng's talent was not as bad as she thought. He just lacked the resources to practice. She thought that during this period of time, she would give Gu Feng some moonlight grass to start with improving his magical constitution. When he heard about magic cards, Gu Feng could not help but want to. Today, after hearing Yunsheng's words, He also wanted to enter the magic tower to try. Then, okay. I heard that in the academy, there's a night market. On weekdays, everyone will take the extra things they have on hand to the market to sell. Even some of the teachers will go there. It should be possible to use the agility potion to exchange for magic cards. Goofing had entered the academy 2 months earlier than Yunsheng, so he was more familiar with the academy's affairs. But he still repeatedly asked Yunsheng to buy some magic materials if she still had money left after selling the mid-grade agility potion. Yunsheng agreed to his request, and the two agreed to go to the night market to try their luck tonight. Chapter 102. As the largest magic academy in Shangjing, the night market of the Royal Academy of Magic was quite famous in the entire city. When the night market of the Royal Academy of Magic was first established, it was only a small-scale free market. The magic potions developed by the Potions Department and the magic weapons refined by the Combat Department would be sold or bartered by the students and mentors to exchange for things that were suitable for them. But later on, as the scale of the night market grew, more and more people entered and exited the night market. The Royal Academy had no choice but to open up an additional area outside the academy and open it to the public. As a result, the number of people entering and exiting the night market increased. Not only the students and mentors of the academy came here to trade, but there were also warriors, mages, traveling merchants from all over the world and local vendors who would buy and sell suitable things in the night market. When Yunsheng and Goofing arrived at the night market, they saw that it was brightly lit. Countless magic lamps formed by the illumination spell floated among the bushes and bushes like little fairies, illuminating the night market as if it was daytime. Entering the night market, one could buy and sell anything. Entering the night market was free, but if one wanted to set up a small stall, one would need to pay an additional 5 copper coins. So, some mages or warriors who were short on money would often directly sell the things they wanted to sell on the street, exchanging money and goods at the same time. It was very efficient. Yunsheng and Goofing went out together, but who knew that there were too many people in the night market? Not long after, the two of them were separated by the dense crowd. Yunsheng was also not in a hurry to find Goofing. After looking around the night market for a while, she turned to the back of a dense tree and took out a set of boys' clothes that she had prepared earlier from the beast language ring. After changing, she put on the illusion earring. After disguising herself, Yunsheng blended into the crowd of the night market and was no different from any ordinary male student in the Magic Academy. Yunsheng came over tonight mainly to look for magic power cards, but after looking around, she didn't find any students selling magic power cards. Yunsheng couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Just as she was about to turn back to look for Goofing, a person came rushing in front of her. That person was dressed in the robes of an archmage and held a magic scepter in his hand. As he walked, he looked around and muttered, "Damn it, why isn't there a single potion here? Where am I going to find a bottle of mid-grade agility potion?" Since there weren't many mages in Zhou State, magic potions could only be bought from magic academies or large chambers of commerce in Zhou State. Judging from the appearance of this person, it was obvious that he urgently needed a bottle of agility potion. Yunsheng hurriedly went up to him. "Senior, do you need a potion of agility? I have some for sale here." That intermediate student casually glanced at Yunsheng. Hearing her young voice and small stature, he couldn't help but feel a little contempt in his heart. "Go away, little brat. The night market isn't a place for little brats like you to play house." Mid-grade agility potion. It can increase your agility for 10 minutes. Yunsheng wasn't annoyed. Just as that person was about to stride past her, she said something that didn't hurt him. The intermediate student's footsteps paused. The words, mid-grade agility potion, almost made him faint, but it also successfully attracted his attention. He took a closer look. Yunsheng's face was blurred. She must be wearing an illusion-type artifact. To be able to own an illusion-type artifact at such a young age, the intermediate student couldn't help but feel embarrassed for his earlier carelessness. He hurriedly dragged Yunsheng to a big tree on the side and asked in a low voice, "You're a junior from the magic potion department? Mid-grade agility potion? You're not trying to extort me, are you?" "It's the real deal." Yunsheng took out a small bottle of agility potion. The orange liquid instantly made the intermediate student go wild with joy. That's great. I'll take all of your mid-grade magic potions. I'm Tai Lang from the Magic Combat Department. I've been on a mission recently and urgently need agility potions. How many do you have? I'll take all of them. Tai Lang was like his name. Although he wasn't a warrior, the magic elements around him were as sharp as a blade. In the Royal Magic Academy, beginner students only needed to study. But after becoming intermediate students, the Academy would provide them with a few missions of varying difficulty. Students could use the missions to exchange for precious magic artifacts, magic materials, and even magic spells of intermediate level and above. Tai Lang was an earth elemental magician. Due to his own attributes, his speed was slightly slower than the average magician. But his mission this time was to kill a level 6 wind-chasing fox. That beast's speed was astonishing. Tai Lang chased after it for a few days, but lost it at the last moment. He asked his mentor about it, and his mentor suggested that he go to the magic potions department to buy some agility potions. He asked for at least one bottle of agility potion of mid-grade and above. But when he went to the magic potions department, the mentors there were all unwilling to help when they heard that he was from the combat department. There were some magic potion students who were willing to sell agility potions left behind from the experimental class, but those were only beginner potions and didn't meet Tai Lang's requirements. Tai Lang had no choice but to go to the night market to see if he could be lucky enough to meet someone selling agility potions. He didn't expect to be so lucky. He hadn't been there for long before he met someone selling mid-grade agility potions. I only have one bottle of potion on hand. I stole it from my mentor. I need a mid-grade magic card in exchange. Yun Sheng stated her requirements. She didn't want to reveal the secret of her ability to make mid-grade magic potions, so she said that the agility potion was stolen. Thus, Tai Lang was even more convinced of the quality of Yun Sheng's mid-grade potions. He didn't care where the potion came from, as long as it could help him complete the mission. I have a mid-grade magic card, but I've already used it 3 times. I still have more than half of my magic left. Tai Lang was very straightforward. For a student from the combat department, it was better to go out and participate in actual combat training than to cultivate in the magic tower. He took out his magic card, erased the name on it, and handed it to Yun Sheng. There were still 12 hours left on the magic card. Including the bonus from his mana soul, it was equivalent to 60 hours, which was very useful for his cultivation. It's too little. Mid-grade agility potions are very rare on the market. This magic card isn't enough. Yun Sheng was very shrewd. She calculated that an intermediate student like Tai Lang must have a lot of money. You're from the magic potions department? I have an ancient magic potion formula here. I don't know if it's real or not. If you're interested, you can take it and study it. Tai Lang was helpless when he saw that Yun Sheng wouldn't let go. He remembered that he had accidentally obtained a potion formula when he was out on a mission. He took it out and handed it to Yun Sheng. Yun Sheng took it and looked at it. Her eyebrows jumped. Magic potion, Moon Goddess's praise. Chapter 103. Seeing that Yun Sheng was silent, Tai Lang thought that she was complaining that the magic potion formula wasn't good enough. After all, he had asked someone to appraise the formula, but the other party said that it was worthless. The reason was that the prescription clearly stated that in order to concoct this kind of magic potion, one must be able to control both water and fire elements at the same time. However, among magicians, water and fire magicians were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Moreover, it was very dangerous to fuse the water and fire elements together. There could be an elemental explosion at any time. Therefore, in the eyes of magic apothecaries, this formula was simply trash. He originally saw that Yun Sheng was young and thought that she didn't understand the mystery of the formula. But now, it seemed that she wasn't easy to fool. Tai Lang was helpless. He dawdled and took out a few more stones. Yun Sheng looked at them again. They were 3 pieces of pyroxene copper. She still didn't speak. A few veins could be seen on Tai Lang's forehead. Finally, he gritted his teeth and took out a piece of glazed jade. It seemed that the other party had reached his bottom line. Yun Sheng then said calmly, "Then we'll reluctantly make a deal." After saying that, she put all the magic materials into her bag and gave a bottle of mid-grade potion of agility to Tai Lang. Tai Lang was relieved, and gave the bottle of potion of agility to Yunsheng. Before leaving, he asked again, "If I still want mid-grade potion of agility in the future, can you still provide it? Do I still have to come to the night market to find you?" There were too few mid-grade magic potions on the market. "I'll try, but I can't guarantee it. Same place, and bring a good magic card." Yunsheng nodded. After selling the mid-grade potion of agility, Yunsheng wandered around the night market a few times. With the help of Shennong's pupil, she picked a lot of cheap but good magic materials. The beast's speech ring was quickly filled with some good magic materials. With the addition of the magic card and the magic potion formula praised by the moon goddess, this night market could be said to be a fruitful trip. After changing back into women's clothes, Yunsheng planned to find Gufeng and go back together. After searching the night market for a long time, she finally found Gufeng, that silly boy. Gufeng was standing in front of a small stall where someone was selling raw magical beast bones. Judging from the way the stall owner dressed and talked, he should be a hunter. On the stall were some slightly processed bones, meat, and furs of magical beasts. What Gufeng was looking at was a few skinned magical beast leg bones. Everyone knew that the bones of magical beasts could not only be used to make magical potions, but they could also be used to make magical scepters. After Gufeng's magic scepter had been broken by Songjie, he hadn't had the money to buy a new magic scepter. Since he didn't have much money, he hadn't been able to buy a new magic scepter. The length and size of the leg bones were all suitable for making a magic scepter. "Gufeng, I've been looking for you everywhere. What are you looking at?" Yunsheng walked forward and patted Gufeng. When Gufeng saw Yunsheng, he scratched his head embarrassedly. "I want to buy a magical beast bone back, to find Mintermary, to help me make a magic scepter, but this uncle's magical beast bone. The price is too high and I don't know which magical beast bone to choose to make a magic scepter. You know, my magic attribute is very special." After Gufeng's magic scepter was destroyed last time, he was listless all day. Mintermary looked at him as if his mother had died and was annoyed. She promised him that as long as he found a suitable magical beast bone, she would help him make a magic scepter. Mintermary can make magic scepters? Yunsheng looked as if she had discovered a new continent. When Gufeng said that, Yunsheng knew that most magic apothecaries could refine magic weapons. Gufeng also suggested that Yunsheng's ability to refine magic potions was high. When she became an archmage, she could also try to refine magic weapons, which were much more valuable than magic potions. "Hey, you two brats, are you buying or not? Don't block my stall and affect my business," the hunter said in a rough voice and waved his hand to let Yunsheng and the others go away. Gufeng had been standing in front of the stall for more than an hour, constantly asking questions about the price and magical beast bones. The hunter was already impatient. "Why are you so fierce? Who does business like you? We are here to buy things. Let me take a look first and find a suitable magical beast bone." Yunsheng squatted down and flipped through the magical beast bones. The magical beast bones sold by the hunters were completely different from the finished product of the magic scepter. The few magical beast bones on the stall still had flesh and blood. They looked bloody and did not look like the prototype of a magic scepter at all. The hunter pursed his lips with a look of disbelief. He did not believe that this young girl could see the truth. Yunsheng lowered her head. Golden light flashed in her dark eyes like stars in the dark night. Her Shennong eye was already close to a breakthrough. It had gone from the initial microscopic to penetrating. When she was looking at herbs or beast bones, not only could she clearly see the age of the bones, she could also clearly see how much magical elements were left in the bones, and what element they were. Gufeng was a light elemental mage. His magic scepter should be light elemental. It would be best if it was a non-elemental one. However, the magical beast bones in front of her all had natural attributes. Even if they were made into a magic scepter, it would not be suitable for him. At this moment, Yunsheng noticed a magical beast bone that was as thick as a thigh bone. That magical beast bone was thinner and shorter than the other magical beast bones. It seemed too short and thin to be made into a magic scepter. However, there was a milky white magical element flowing in that thigh bone. It did not seem to lose its magical power because of the death of the magical beast. A light elemental magical beast bone. Yun Shang could already conclude that this magical beast bone must have belonged to a light elemental magical beast. I want this one. Yun Shang made a prompt decision and picked up the magical beast bone. The hunter was curious. Little one, there are so many magical beast bones. Why did you choose the smallest one? That magical beast is only 10 years old. When Goofing heard that it was only 10 years old, he was also somewhat unwilling. He hesitated, wanting to persuade Yun Shang. But this is the bone of a 10-year-old unicorn. She did not have any doubts and said firmly, "Unicorn." Goofing was shocked and looked at the magical beast bone in disbelief. The unicorn was a strange magical beast. It was a close relative of the legendary sacred beast, the unicorn. It was the product of a crossbreed between an adult unicorn and a wild horse. Although it was a hybrid magical beast, it still had a part of the light elemental attribute of the unicorn. Wild unicorns were rare in Zhou State. Haha, I didn't expect that I would make a mistake. Little guy, your eyesight is very good. In my entire stall, this unicorn's magic beast bone is the most valuable. Think carefully. This magic beast bone is worth 50 gold coins. The hunter laughed heartily. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.